Wow. How are we doing today? Oh my god.
They'll keep it Disney. Wait, Dr. Jerky, didn't you come in earlier and say, like, a trolling comment? What I love about Twitch is that I just get to be myself. I do get to be myself. I get to be a very, very,
Oh, we should have. This is 5 minutes. Oh, tomorrow we can hype up on that. Aaron sweeping for Lorenz and talking shit about Ira, Hutch, and pondering right now. Wait, where at?
One more thing, what you said with the bribery thing. The reason why I think it's unclear to me is
initially I was like, oh, I'm getting a lot of pushback on like kind of what I think is a pretty
bog standard liberal, like anti-corruption campaign finance regulations, things that even the Bush administration thought should be pushed and were later challenged.
Well, I do think that imposing it as a legal standard is tough because of basically what could the limiting principles be if they're different things.
Legally, ought you disclose?
I would disclose.
Did you see Kyle whining about you and Hutch wanting to exile him? Kyle who? Kolensky?
I was like, I'm not asking.
I don't think me nor Hutch can exile him from anywhere. He exists in a totally different space. What?
Would you disclose? I'm asking, should you disclose? And I don't think it's like a big thing to just like say, yeah, you should disclose. I think even Hutch.
Well, there's would, should, ought, right?
Right.
Would you disclose?
That's
should
kind
you
of like
disclose? Legally, ought you disclose?
Oh, right. Those are three different things.
Right.
And Hutch even said, I think your position is reasonable at the end there. So I don't think that they.
I think that having it like a disclosure. I fucked with my EQ for an hour this morning. Okay. I don't know where that one guy is. It should be good now. Fuck you. Okay. I feel like having a legally mandated disclosure might be a tad boxy. I might drop this like 1.5 from 2. Okay. I feel like disclosing, if you're a media source, like where your income comes from, I don't think I have a problem with that. Everybody needs to do it though. Not just liberals when you're unhappy with them. I think that's fine.
All kind of like push that far back against my position.
But that's not the rule right now. You don't have to do that.
My position is like pretty milquetoast, I would say, from a lot of leftist perspective. Not to say that I'm wrong. Like, I'm basically saying disclose a financial relationship and move on. I'm not saying that you should disclose the amount. A lot of leftists say you shouldn't take this money at all. So I'm just saying, initially I was like, oh, I'm getting a lot of pushback on like kind of what I think is a pretty
bog standard liberal, like anti-corruption campaign finance regulations.
Remember, your political enemies, I'm going to keep pointing this out, your political enemies will always use your own rules against you, and they play by no rules. Don't ever forget that. They have no standards. They have no decorum. They have no rules. They'll do whatever, whenever, to whoever, doesn't matter. Always remember that. Don't ever let an enemy quote your own rules sit at you, ever.
Yeah.
Things that even the Bush administration thought, should be pushed and were later challenged.
Well, I do think that imposing it as a legal standard is tough because of basically what could the limiting principles be if
there's like half a second of air after every S sound. You're probably just hearing my compressor kick on and off. I'm sorry, do I need the Hassan one that cuts up immediately? Fuck you.
There isn't a connection to particular campaigns or political parties. It seems like a nightmare for compliance. Like now potentially any public money associated with individuals speaking on public issues, that is a room for government regulation of mandated disclosure. I think if you disentangle that from specific political campaigns and political parties, now it starts to be like an untenable regulatory scheme that seems inefficient and stupid. But I do think that it should be a norm that we should try to impose as a way of making sure that our audiences have the facts they need. So we don't have these kinds of situations. I think this was Soy Pill's point as well, which is like, if they had disclosed initially, we probably wouldn't be in this mess in the first place.
Wrong. So. That's, oh my God, that's such a horribly naive thing. I don't know if that's an appeal to the leftists thing or what, but that's such a naive feeling that that if this one thing would have been good, they would have been fine with it. I don't believe that. My eyes are a tad too, wait, let me try 7.5. I'm at 10 up here. I'll cut it in half. We'll do 5 up here. Test. Okay, we'll try this.
As well. I think the response in a lot of ways inflamed people's feelings, and like the claims that they were making surrounding like the potential implications of what taking this money means or how it may have influenced their content. I don't think that people really have the right all of a sudden we have this kind of cosmic skepticism about how soft power and what?
Alex O'Connor, Cosmic Spectrum.
Oh yeah, it's an Alex O'Connor reference, guys. About how, again, the influence of money works and soft power, and like, again, does it like let's pretend that all of the same circumstances for course apply.
Nobody in these communities talks about audience capture. Why? Nobody talks about audience capture. Nobody talks about the soft pressure of all the other people. Why is it that the only soft pressure that exists to these people is corporate money? Why? There's no other soft pressure to talk about. It's so stupid.
But to the right. If we had a creator,
Hassan, I think they would like. I presented this example. If I were being paid as an incubator for Hassan's like new pilot program to be anti-genocide,
please update your notes. They are. I think they're not only the notes updated. I think they're on Twitter. My last big tweet and my reply, I put it there.
And it was later found out that I was getting paid like let's say $2,000 a month people would lose their fucking shit. They would be, I mean, just be honest, it would be so
They have
much
already lost
anger.
their shit on you saying that you're pandering.
Yeah,
attempting
yeah.
to,
If there
again,
was a
expand your
financial-
horizons, get court a new audience, and there's no money exchanging hands.
At
But
all.
they realize that the market potential that you could be tapping into by pandering to a community
Right,
could
right,
result in
yeah,
more money. So
yeah.
we understand,
Yeah.
like not intuitively,
It's
these same
intuitive, it is
people have
intuitive, yeah.
literally articulated the way that people can be financially incentivized to make certain decisions, to hold certain opinions, beliefs, to adjust their content in order to get more money.
Yeah, and I think that is
we all
intuitive.
understand this. It's not like that's why I'm saying all of a sudden we're reverting back to a cosmic skepticism. We are conflating super chats with a recurring payment monthly that you entered into because you have a contractual obligation with an
You're
employer
mutually
or
binding
a
yourself.
Like this is like they downplay it so hard on one end. Like Aaron is doing this thing where it's like, oh, like who, you know, on one end you could just be getting super chats, but on the other end it's evil, dark corporate money. Again, like you. Like if I could drag content creators into a call, like everybody will agree with this. There are pressures on all ends. Sometimes having a reliable income from a non-audience source can actually free you up to pursue so many other things because audiences tend to want to just see one thing. Audiences are looking for a particular type of content. You might want to make something else. You don't have the freedom to branch out and explore. And I'm sure this extends to political opinions as well. The idea that audience capture or this capture can only happen with corporate money and not with just ordinary audiences is just so naive.
You're binding. So one is like a one-sided. Now there are donations of a certain level of like, if you know you have like an oiler in the chat and they're putting in some absurd amount of money, maybe at that point there's a kind of implied understanding or something, or there's something where it's whatever. But I think that when there's mutual promises being made, and that is what we're trying to talk, we're talking about a contractual relationship where there's mutual promises. It's not just a gift. In the example of a super chatter or someone who's giving you a donation, that is a gift where there is no mutual promise. There's one promise.
Right.
There's one giving. It's not
Like that's not true. That's a lie. What do you mean? There's just it's what? No, that's not true. When people give you money or donate money, they're saying, "I like this content. Please keep making this content. If you stop making this content, I'm probably going to stop watching." Right? That's the same thing with the company, arguably, unless you're locked in for like years or something. Like you could always just leave the company if you don't want the money, right?
really even a promise.
And here's the thing about super chats, why it's not in any way, shape, or form analogous to me. Super chats display the username. Super chats often come with commentary. People are paying to express their opinion and attach it to this gift. They are telling you what they think. There's disclosure there. You usually have, I don't know how, I've never gone on YouTube super chats. I don't have it turned on. I have the ability to, so I haven't turned it on. But at least with my Streamlabs thing, your name comes through on my PayPal. If you have it set so you didn't hide your name from me, I can see your name and I can get certain private information from you. I get the amount that you gave to me. I got the message that was sent to me and it's disclosed publicly. So all of that is like pretty much maximal transparency as far as donating or contributing to somebody's
Oh, that's
stream.
great. I didn't even think of that.
Because that's not a good argument. People accuse me of having top secret fucking Saudi donors and shit through my super chats and everything. Like, what do you mean?
I have all of that information. I could disclose that
I
information.
didn't even think about that,
for privacy information.
And do you? It's not like you disclose it, right? Do any of these people disclose all of their donos?
But this whole super chats are just not, stream donations are just not as anonymous as people are suggesting when they kind of throw that out there in the same conversation as like dark money to me. All of that exists. It's unambiguous. And you have people that agree with you that send you money to ask you a question or to agree with you. And then there's people that are hate watchers that will spend $5 to send a hate comment your way. And it's, again,
Yeah, it's not disclosed publicly either.
amounts there, usernames there. You can see the name personally. You can choose to refund it at any time. There's no contractual obligation. It's no strings attached. They are taking the risk to send it to you. And if they try to do a chargeback, they're probably not going to get it back.
That's a good point. I didn't realize that the nature of a super chat is, now I don't think that you're suggesting that it's publicly disclosing like their full government name, but there's some level of disclosure in real time by the nature of a super chat if you have an alert, right?
Yeah. Well, it's going to show up even in your live chat replay.
Yeah.
So
But
there's no hiding it.
But maybe not the donation if you don't have a stream elements. There are ways to do it. PayPal, Ko-fi, where it wouldn't be disclosed. But depending on how you do it, right? Like if you set it up so that it's public, there's a level of disclosure there that at least people understand like the amounts relatively that you're getting from super chats. I don't think it's a perfect comparison to the kind of disclosure we're at issue here, but again, I just don't think the same level of mutual obligation is an issue for super chats than it is for like a contractual arrangement. But it's a point I didn't consider, so thank you for bringing that up.
The other thing is like, with the only way I can think of it being like not maximally transparent, but that really is beyond your control. We're talking about things that are within the creator's control. If Josiah gets on his alt account, YouTube account, and you don't realize it, and he super chats you from some no name or whatever, you can't know then, right? But that's despite best efforts, or that's how at that point how do you control that? You know, first like it's within his right to have an alt account and send it from there. It would still be probably written in the same voice, but there's still, again, I think everything else would still apply.
You're saying that Josiah has a particular way of typing?
I'm saying Josiah pays 1/3 of your rent, and it's shocking to me that you don't disclose this in all of your YouTube descriptions or at the top of all of your streams every hour or something like that. Frankly, very disgusting, very
Is Trump talking?
Not to, I don't want to make anything personal, obviously, or anything like that. But like, did Pisco ever disclose how much money he got paid by me when he was doing the work for me? Like, do they think that, does he have an obligation or some moral obligation to have disclosed that at the time? Like, to be clear, I think the answer is no. I don't think so. And it was clear, I think, that he was working, that I was paying them to do work for me. I think that was clear, maybe. But like, it's...
it's probably even live. I titled the episode "The Big Beautiful Funeral." Fingers crossed, right?
I don't think you can say that about the president.
Why?
You want to hope for his death?
I'm hoping that we're about to tune into the Big Beautiful Funeral. I can't say that. Why not?
I don't know. Can you?
Trump's stroke review when? You guys, that's coming up soon. If it happens live, we'll catch it. Don't worry. Oh, wait. I'm gonna go back. One more thing. What you said with the bribery thing. The reason why I think it's unclear to me is because these people.
Oh, also, wait. She was in somebody's chat shitting on these guys. Fuck. I gotta Somebody sent me a DM of it. I don't remember where it was. God damn it.
We start from the first principle that money is speech, and money is not speech. Money is property. So that's why I'm saying it's unclear to me why they are okay with the chilling effect as far as bribery on free speech, if that's how you understand money, right? But you can introduce other restrictions that don't contradict that.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a conflict. I think there's some liberals who think that Citizens United was rightly decided, or who think that money, or Buckley versus Vallejo.
What liberals are these?
They exist. I'm just telling you that there is a cohort.
They were the Live and Learn liberals. I forgot.
I'm just telling you.
Podcast co-host. I was like confused for a second.
And regardless of whether or not they think that it's based opinion.
Citizens United is a tough case. That was a bit of criminal law. It's tough. It's a tough call. It's a tough call how to regulate speech like that. It's a tough call.
They're happy to play in the rules that the Supreme Court has given us, right? So regardless of whether or not they agree with the decision.
Can we just let these guys fade into obscurity? No! Pisco is a national treasure. Fuck you.
And they're like, now that that's the decision, that is what the First Amendment means because the Supreme Court has ruled on it. And therefore, while that's the rule, it's kind of like the gerrymandering thing, you know? You understand?
I don't see it as how do you mean it's next to the gerrymandering thing? Because I already mentioned that, but
I think it's a pretty decent comparison. The comparison is basically, we may disagree at bottom with Citizens United, but the only way we're going to get rid of it is to
electing more Democrats that are going to introduce legislation to.
That's the rule. Like the Supreme Court said, the First Amendment protects this type of arrangement, or at least some aspects of the arrangement. And so, if that's what the Supreme Court said, that's they are the one who decides what the law says and what it means.
They are massive hypocrites. It makes no sense when you stress test it.
Why?
Zero. Because there are lots of different ways that we criminalize, not just regulate, but criminalize different types of exchanges of money.
Why is it called Citizens United anyway? The company that initially brought the case up against the FEC, I think the name of the company was Citizens United.
In society, you cannot buy sex. I cannot go to a prostitute, pay them money, and say I was talking to them with my speech, aka the money, to be able to solicit sex. And we don't the defense against that could never be to a prostitute. We criminalize, not just regulate, but criminalize different types of exchanges of money. In society, you cannot buy sex. I cannot go to a prostitute, pay them money, and say I was talking to them with my speech, aka the money, to be able to solicit sex. And we don't the defense against that could never be that's an infringement upon my First Amendment right because money is speech, and this is an expression of my speech, or the purchasing of certain drugs that we have scheduled. We don't say that that's an imposition on speech.
Yeah, I don't think that every purchase is speech, but some purchases are speech or related to speech.
But the people that support Citizens United are starting from the first principle that money is speech.
I don't think that is necessary.
And I don't think that they would accept a First Amendment defense for legalizing prostitution. Maybe they would. I just don't think that they would.
We're not talking about prostitution, though. We were talking about political speech. Where did she get this take from? The challenging thing about Citizens United is that. So this is the question. Okay. Let's say that I have a very strong feeling about the Miami beach crab, and I love the Miami beach crab. And let's say that I want to make an organization to save the Miami beach crab, and let's say that I want to make a movie about it. I want to pay people, influencers, to do activations to raise awareness for it. And then let's say at the end of an election cycle, let's say that I want to start I want to shit on a local mayor here who wants to do something to the beach environment that's going to probably cause the extinction of the Miami beach crab. Do I not have the right to create an organization, to raise money for it, and to spend money for that cause? Should the federal government be allowed to limit me somehow because that cause is going to end up favoring some politician? Now, I'm not talking about donating money campaign to their directly. I'm not talking about any direct coordination, like I'm communicating with their campaign, but just do I have the right to advertise my stuff for that? Now, I fall on the side of maybe not. 49-51 for Citizens United. I'm almost right in the middle of that. You could regulate it, but it's very, 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 very challenging to do so. And how would you regulate it? Are you going to put normal FEC contribution limits here? If I want to spend $2 million on a green energy documentary, am I not allowed to do that close to an election cycle? Am I really disallowed from advocating for that? Because that type of activism, that type of advocation, that type of funding, that is my speech. That's my right. This is my fucking money. I should be able to spend this on whatever cause I want. I'm not donating to a candidate. But then it's okay, well, what about all the, super PACs that exist that raise tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars for their quote unquote causes that clearly favor one politician? It's a very, 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 very challenging. It's a very challenging issue, I think. There's not an easy question there, or there's not an easy answer there, I think. Sorry, she ripped it from what?
So they say, no, Supreme Court says, no, money is speech now. No, money is property. It's not speech. And so if money was speech, well, then if you go to a hooker and you say, oh, no, officer, I was just talking to her. Okay, money is not speech. So, for example, to give you a sense of it, To compare me saying I like Bernie Sanders and you saying whoever you like is the equivalent of this is obviously nonsensical. I believe it's obvious. So in a recent 5-year period, the top 200 corporate givers, they both in donations and in lobbying spent $5.8 billion. Okay? So that is not the same thing as me saying, hey, I like what Bernie's saying about college and Medicare. And when they did, why do you think they did? It was not because, hey, they genuinely like Bernie or Trump or Hillary. Because in return for that $5.8 billion, they got $4.4 trillion in government subsidies.
Okay. But okay, maybe that's where she got the hooker analogy from.
Yeah,
but it's unclear to me, like, why in this other context you can't do it with political speech.
I don't think you need to start with the proposition that money is speech, but something that is not speech, right? Like burning the flag by itself isn't speech, but it could be sufficiently, right? Like burning something isn't speech, but if it is sufficiently,
I think there should be some mandate behind the organization for protecting the local beach people. Well, so Starry-Eyed Wonder, you're reinventing kind of the ruling, right? And this is the challenge because this is how people function. This is how a 501c4s function. Is their primary mandate does have to be, the primary thing has to be for, I believe it's some kind of social welfare thing, right? It's a social welfare organization. So if their primary mandate is around some social welfare thing, and it could be, I think, something like minimum wage, or it could be something like, I think Medicare for all, like these, I think they can be policy positions, although people will fight over, I think, exactly how you define these things. I don't know how strictly you cannot directly or indirectly participate or intervene in political campaigns. So like, I don't believe that you can name candidates, although as a non-primary activity, you might be able to do that a little bit. But yeah, it's just a very tricky, that's tricky.
Nexus between that and expressive conduct or expressive ideas or even speech, right? Like if I pass a law that said it shall be illegal for newspapers to buy ink in the state of New York. Now, buying ink isn't speech, right? Like buying the supplies needed to run a newspaper isn't speech, but it could nonetheless be an imposition on free speech, notwithstanding the fact
Supreme Court ruled that they can regulate the internet. And if you're restricting people's access to the internet, you're going to be restricting their speech by the subject.
I don't know what opinion you're referencing.
The Supreme Court ruled that they can regulate the internet. And if you're restricting people's access to the internet, you're going to be restricting their speech by the subject.
I don't know what opinion you're referencing, but there are.
I can't think of the name.
I'm basically stating a broader proposition, which is just because the regulation issue doesn't target speech as such doesn't mean it doesn't implicate First Amendment interests. So you wouldn't need to start from the proposition that all expenditures of money equal speech, but there are certain expenditures of money. For example, expenditures of money to purchase a movie, right? Or, like to purchase the rights to a movie, right? Like imagine that the government said, you can't hire actors to make a movie. Now, is hiring actors, is that speech? No, it's like employment, right? But if the purpose is, or if the effect is to substantially diminish the available channels of communication that are expressive in nature, it could nonetheless implicate First Amendment interest, regardless of the fact that hiring people technically isn't speech. You understand?
So if you think that the government tried to like highly regulate microphones, that would constitute a First Amendment issue?
It could, is what I'm saying. It could, right?
Okay.
Like, especially if the purpose was, right? Especially if I'm not saying only, but especially if the purpose was to like stop podcasters from criticizing the administration. Let's say you have an internal memo saying we're banning microphones because too many podcasters are critical of the Trump administration. You wouldn't be like, oh no, not speech because it's it's just buying microphone, it's just microphone regulation. So I think it's a case by case.
If they state that as the motivation, I think you'll have a case because they stated that. But if they didn't or whatever, then you would have to try to find ways to argue that it functionally renders the action impractical and therefore it leads to an imposition on people's speech unduly and make those sorts of arguments.
No, I even think it could be broader than that. So like in the porn situation, right, in Texas. I'm now forgetting the actual holding, but there was this law, right, that the you have to have some sort of government ID to access porn sites, right, in the state. I think it's in Texas. There's some certain websites that have
they exist in Florida.
Certain thresholds of pornographic content, prurient content, that you need to have a government ID to access those websites. That was analyzed under a kind of intermediate scrutiny O'Brien style analysis. And basically, there you have to weigh the government interest in the kind of ban against the narrowness of the fit there. I think that could be applied with respect to certain money transactions with respect to politics, but I think it's just probably going to fail there. Disclosure requirements, there's probably a pretty big interest with disclosure with respect to specific campaigns. I'm not so sure the same interest exists outside of the context of political parties or campaigns.
And that really is the basis by which people should try to understand how constitutional or the constitutionality of these things. Somebody might have, like, corporations are people, my friend, who told me that, a little man named Mitt Romney. Corporations actually do have personhood, and that dates back all the way to the 1800s. That's not actually something that was newly decided within Citizens United, and it kind of is the thing that people point to as like the critical, like, they're people. It's like, no, for a long, like, literally hundreds of years, we have understood that corporations do have some, because they're an association of people.
Even in U.S. laws, the term person includes associations by default.
Right.
In many of these statutory schemes, like person here means any partnership, organization, association, human being, living human. So the notion of a personhood of corporations is not a novel concept from this century.
Yeah, and it's certainly not one that was decided within Citizens United. What happened within Citizens United is that corporate personhood was expanded so far to me that it's just not reasonable to conceive of it in that respect. And I do think that's but I think the critical basis.
Okay, I lied. I said I read Citizens United. I read like half of it. It was a long ruling. Did they expand corporate personhood? I don't remember that. I feel like these are talking points, but I could be wrong. The first part had to do with, I was unaware of this, but the first law relating to the campaign financing thing, that first law was a criminal law. And part of the argument that, was it Scalia? I don't remember who's writing for this. part of the argument was that it's hard to tell what even counted as a donation towards political speech or not, because this had to do with like running ads for a documentary that was about Hillary Clinton, anti-Hillary Clinton, like prior to an election season. And one of the arguments was like, we can't have, like, criminal law is supposed to be pretty obvious. Like, you're supposed to be able to look at it, like, if it's about crime, you should be able to, like, a layman should be able to read the law and understand, like, okay, well, this is okay and this isn't okay. And for it to have, like, to be criminalizing things that are, where it's not, like, very clear, that was the first argument against it, which I found pretty compelling. I don't remember it being, I know, like, a lot of people talk about, like, corporations are people and blah, 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 but, like, I mean, like, corporate entities are always going to be recognized as distinct entities. I'm not sure.
Does the government have a compelling interest to regulate money related to political speech or elections or campaigns? And to what extent, like, where do they draw them? Where
Yes, they do. But then the question is, what counts as like a campaign contribution? That's like the question.
We draw the line. I think that's like the basis that people.
Can you TLDR for the Citizens United case for us retarded viewers? I could read the syllabus for it. Basically, just the question is how close can the money be to a campaign that you spend coming up to how that's it. That's the question. So right now, if let's say that I want to donate money to Donald Trump, donate to, well, no, because I don't know if he even has a campaign anymore. Who's somebody who's going to be like running for office? Let's donate money to AOC. I want to donate to AOC. Okay. We've got a secure blue thing here. All right. If I want to donate to AOC and it's for her campaign, the most I can put here, I believe, is $5,000. Because the Federal Election Commission limits individuals. Oh my God, I'm sorry. For an individual, it's $3,500. My bad. No, wait. To a candidate. Party committee, PAC, candidate committee. Okay, I think it's $3,500 per election for an individual. I can't give, if I want AOC to win really hard, okay, I want her to crush the opponents, I can't give her $1 million, all right? So I could make a thing like a political action committee, and on a political action committee, I could make that a PAC for AOC, but that's also limited in how much money it can raise, right? My AOC PAC, all right? PACs, I think, are generally organized as the tax code. It's going to be like a 527, I believe. Let me check. Or is it, did I get this wrong? Hold on. Stop! PAC, Investopedia, Political Action Committee. Why are, oh, short videos, sorry. Fuck, if I blow this up, I might have to get ad block. What's the what are these organized as? It is a 527? Okay. So these have to organize as a 527. As a result of that, they have a ton of restrictions on the types of activities they can do, and they have a lot of restrictions on how they can raise money, okay? The PACs are going to be your political action committees. These are going to be dedicated to political causes, to parties, to candidates, but these are also hardcore limited by the amount of money that we can take in, right? So for instance, if I'm a PAC, now at least you can donate $5,000 a year to me, and another PAC could donate $5,000, right? So I could make a PAC for AOC. I could take in $5,000, or I could use that PAC to donate to her $5,000, and I could donate individually $3,500. So I can give her $8,500, I guess, right? That's for working with candidates directly and for being involved directly with political campaigns. But let's say there's an election season coming up. Let's say I feel strong about January 6th. I think January 6th was bullshit. I think Trump tried to overthrow the government. I think January 6th is a whole bunch of illegal shit. Let's say that I make the super PAC. All right. I don't think super PAC is like a legally defined thing, but I have like a super PAC. What a super PAC is is what people have come to call super PACs. I can have a 501c4. Now, a 501c4, this is a social welfare organization. I think election integrity is important, all right? And I'm going to fund videos and everything about this January 6th stuff because I believe in the social welfare for this. This is not a political action committee. I don't talk to or coordinate directly with any candidates. If I do, it's illegal. And I can't advertise on behalf of or for or against a particular candidate. I don't believe that 501c4s are allowed to say, like, don't vote for AOC or vote for Donald Trump or don't do this. But I can attack, I think, the things that these people stand for. I think you might be able to attack them, maybe, or implicate them in schemes. I don't know exactly where you draw the line on this, but this is a 501c4. This is not limited by all of the other limitations of 527 PAC would be. So for this, if you want to donate $50 billion to my January 6th was an insurrection 501c4, well, you can donate that. Well, now this is the super PAC problem. Now I have a way to raise an unlimited amount of money to advocate for social welfare causes that are really political in nature. But as long as I don't directly coordinate with a campaign, I'm clear to raise as much money and spend as much money as I want. This is the bind that you're in for these, for like the super PAC bind, basically. Is it actually infinite money? I thought there were still limits somewhere in the millions. I don't believe 501c4s are limited at all by how much money they can raise or spend. I don't think so. Your understanding is generally correct, but remember a 501c4 can create a 527, so you have routes to target campaigns with a super PAC. Kind of, yeah. So you can have a cute little workaround. I've asked this question a million times and I keep getting fucked. And then he gets involved without explaining why. Wait, what? Oh, sorry. You're talking about Green Lantern, where you have these hybrid organizations like that, a Medea network or whatever, where what you have is you have a hybrid network of, you have your 501c4 on the side that can raise infinite amounts of money. And then you have is the Amidia, the other half of it, is that a 527? That thing can engage in more political action, but it can bill your 501c4 for certain types of expenses. And it's for some reason that's not considered a campaign contribution thing. I don't know why. It's just not. Or yeah, it's just indirect services. So like that, the Amidia network bills, even though that's like I believe that's a 527. They bill their partner 501c4 like $15 million a year for operation expenses. So the 501c4 can work as your quote unquote dark money. Even though they do report their donors, they can raise money on that and then pay for the other half of the Amidia. No, I linked this wrong. Why? What the fuck? Fuck, I didn't mean to make that file. Whatever. But, yeah.
People should look at it not whether or not corporations are people. They are, in some sense, people, but they are not, fully formed.
Yeah, but in Citizens
people.
United, and I think this is a tough argument always for the people who are against Citizens United. I will address this super chat in a second, but it's the kind of New York Times example. New York Times is a corporation. New York Times makes money. Could you say that the New York Times are banned from making? Why are you shaking your head?
Because I answered this, if I remember correctly. The difference is that the New York Times is a journalistic enterprise that spends the majority of its time informing the public and not electioneering. When you
see, she's running into the same issue, right? Oh, they spend the majority of the time informing the public. They don't spend the majority of their time electioneering, right? That's the qualifier for being a 501c4 is your primary thing has to be for some social welfare thing. Now here she's saying journalism, but the promotion of social welfare does not include direct or indirect participation or intervention in political campaigns. That's a 501c4. So she's running into the same problem, but she just doesn't realize it.
Look at these political action committees, they are created almost solely for the purpose of informing the public and not electioneering. When you look at these political action committees, they are created almost solely for the purpose of for partisan politics of influencing elections.
political action committees that she's talking about that's not part of citizen. We're not worried about those. Those are highly regulated. They're subject to all the same campaign contribution limits. She said PACs, political action, but she means super PAC, which isn't a formal entity. It's some combination of 501c4s and other things. But PACs, we don't have a problem with those, right?
We're talking about we're talking about like things like the Koch brothers industries and other massive corporations. They spend most of their time engaged in corporate endeavors, right? So I mean, who cares?
Yeah, but there's a threshold, because when you look at the classifications of even nonprofits, that's why you have the differentiation between 501c3, 501c4, and it comes the delineation between those and how you're going to categorize them has to do with how much time and resources that you spend.
Citizens United was a nonprofit,
right? But why was it created?
Yeah, to fuck with Hillary. But I understand, but it is a nonprofit.
It's created to fuck with Hillary, right?
And the rule potentially could apply to unions and other kinds of nonprofits.
And it undermined if money is speech or whatever, then corporations are going to be unions every single time. The other difference is that unions are paid with what? With dues from their members versus corporations that are.
These are all
unions can raise money in all sorts of different ways. I don't know where that's a total fucking lie. And what are we saying, the AFL-CIO, the teachers union, that these aren't powerful unions, that these aren't funded? Are we saying that police unions and firefighter unions in local cities aren't funded? I don't know if she's ever followed any local politics in her entire life. I feel like your emergency services unions and your teachers unions are some of your strongest unions in the United States.
Distinctions, but why do they matter as a First Amendment principle, right? I agree these are all distinctions, but why does the First Amendment care about these distinctions about where the money is coming from, what purpose the entity serves? Is it for a nonprofit purpose?
Because with every sort of type of exchange and change and money changing hands, we should look at the social context of what it means, and factor that in, as well as just analyzing whether or not the government has.
I was never paid by Destiny in our endeavor. Just a heads up. There were reimbursements that we did for like different funding, different vendors, stuff like that, but I was not paid. Just a heads up.
Somebody else. Is that true? Oh, fuck. Well, I might have just fake news. I'm sorry. Maybe the invoices were literally just for maybe it was just all the studio stuff that I was paying. It's possible. I lied. We do a little bit of fake news here, I guess.
What's up? You fucking loser. Michael Dudley, you fucking loser. Owned. Was not paid at all for that effort. So fuck you. And by the way, paying for services like getting water bottles for the different members of the DNC that we had, right? That's me putting up my money and getting reimbursed is not the same as me getting paid. Dipshit.
That is true, if what he's saying is true. I don't remember the invoices. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't.
Talking?
I don't know. Do you have the link? I don't have it.
We'll find it.
Citizens United is misunderstood, but I am glad that people are generally critical of it, even if I kind of cringe a little bit when they think that the big point of the sticking point is the corporate personhood, because that's not actually where that was introduced. But it's better than nothing. People being critical of it. There was a case that was decided not around this, I think after Citizens United, that the Supreme Court refused to hear, and I just think that they just didn't want to. But federal court held that the whole thing with Citizens United is it's not really about, it should be more about the less about the speaker, whether it be a corporation or an individual, and more about the speech and not infringing upon the speech. But there was another case where an illegal, I don't know, they weren't illegal, they were like a resident of the United States, but not.
Okay.
A citizen. Mm-hmm. They wanted to go to Kinko's and buy create election materials for President Obama, and that violated all sorts of federal law surrounding how people that are not citizens or something like that can engage in campaigning and influencing elections, and they refused to hear that. And to me, it's unclear to me why, if you really don't care about the speaker, then why do we have different metrics for what's acceptable speech for quote unquote illegals or not people that are not fully U.S. citizens to be able to engage in?
I think it's a great point. Yeah, I think it's a great point about why
foreign national swaying U.S. elections. So we have all sorts of regulations with that.
Wait, what? Hold
on. Federal law surrounding create election materials for President Obama, and that violated all sorts of federal law surrounding how people that are not citizens or something like that can engage in campaigning and influencing elections, and they refused to hear that. And to me, it's unclear to me why, if you really don't care about the speaker, then why do we have different metrics for what's acceptable speech for quote unquote illegals or not people that are not fully U.S. citizens to be able to engage in?
I think it's a great point. Yeah, I think it's a great point about why
foreign national swaying U.S. elections. So we have all sorts of regulations with that, but almost none with the corporations, which is bizarre to me.
You have to register as foreign agents. I mean, I think there's a fundamental difference there. I think foreign nationals and foreign governments spending money and doing stuff to influence our election or spending money in the United States like that. I think that's a fundamentally different type of question. I don't think that's the same.
Again, the basis is it's just about the speech. It's not about the speaker. When these same conservatives will turn around and factor the speaker in other instances. So I cannot stand the.
I think 501c4s is good, but it's too broad. It should define social welfare and common good. The problem is there's no way that we can define common good without it being a partisan issue. Like, for instance, what if I create a 501c4 to advocate for vaccines or a 501c4 to advocate against vaccines? right? Like this is clearly going to be partisan one way or another. Both can arguably be the common good. There's no way to fairly define that, right?
Justifications for Citizens United. That's why I'm saying they fall apart very quickly.
By the way, Michael Dudley just got fucking BTFO'd. You absolutely got crushed, and you're coping really hard.
What are you arguing? What
anyway,
are you doing?
I sent you the link to the Fox News making an announcement from Oval Office, Trump.
Perfect.
It hasn't started yet, but we can put it on so we can all get fucking chills when he starts. This is gonna be so lame, by the way, the fucking announcement.
Okay, well, actually, as a treat, I want to show you something.
Dudley, when did I get paid? What did I get paid? I've been paid for legal representation. When I, am getting paid by, things unrelated to my content. I get paid by you guys, by memberships, by super chats. Never been paid by an outside group. Get fucking owned.
Let's see. I think it's this one.
Destiny didn't pay me jack shit. Destiny paid for a bunch of services. I mean, he, to his credit, he paid out of pocket for all this stuff, for like setting up the studio, that kind of thing. But I didn't get paid. I did it because I believe in liberalism. I believe in democratic principles and electing Democrats.
I mean, if he did get paid, it wasn't. He definitely could have built his law firm more. On one invoice, I paid. I'm not fighting over any of this. Well, now okay, I don't know. Maybe it was the other two people involved, and just not. Maybe he was the only one that didn't get paid anything out of that. Maybe. Okay. All right. Stop. What am I looking for? Oh, was I in the middle of talking about anything? This fucking guy. Nope. IRI lore.
That can make this better right now. There's only one thing that can make this better right now.
It's friend of the stream, IRI. No way, is it really? Yeah, he's the fly for a white guy dude right here. Jesus. Okay.
And not stand conservatives. They are so goddamn soy. They literally openly fantasize about killing not only like Joe Brandon, kidnapping Joe Brandon. Some of them actively actually engage in the process of trying to kidnap or assassinate politicians, like that one conservative, David DePipe, that tried to kill Nancy Pelosi and then ended up fucking hammering Paul Pelosi in the head. Like, they do all this shit. They do January 6th. They do all of this stuff. And then the moment that a liberal goes, hey, man, I really don't like the president, and if he's dead, then, like, that's a cause for celebration. They go, whoa, 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 whoa. How dare you?
Why am I watching this?
Sir, excuse me. That's an old man that's a grandfather. That's a grandfather with grandchildren. Oh God, typical so-called liberal woke leftists once again. So much for the tolerant left once again. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. I see what you're posting yesterday. I see what you're posting today. Half of your policies revolve around like making up made up fucking enemies in your mind and then somehow looping it back.
Okay. I mean, I agree, so I don't know why I was like this.
I'm very disappointed in him.
Apparently Trump called into a show today. Was that this morning?
I'm very disappointed in him. He and I always had a great relationship. I'm very disappointed. Thousands of people are dying. They're not Americans that are dying, but they're Russians and they're Ukrainians, and there's thousands, and it's a war that makes no sense. And it would have never started if I were president, and that's what bothers me even more, because the election was totally rigged, and it's a shame. We'll see what happens, but I'm very disappointed in President Putin. I can say that. And we'll be doing something to help people live. You know, it's not a question of Ukraine. It's help people live. 7,000 people are dying every single week. Soldiers, mostly. But 7,000 people. And if I can help to stop that, I think I have an obligation to do it.
Ooh, wait, hold on. What was the one guy who made that prediction on Twitter? Where he said
Republicans.
If we were going to see... Oh, no. I don't want to watch this anymore. He said if we were going to see Trump, he'd be sitting down at his desk because he'd be too weak to stand. And he's standing, guys. It's a body double. Never mind. Look at how not orange his face is. Body double, body double, body double.
Orders will move to the beautiful locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama, forever to be known from this point.
Holy shit, they found Biden's adrenochrome stash. Oh, no.
Okay, so Huntsville, Alabama. We love Alabama. I only won it by about 47 points. I don't think that influenced my decision, though, right? That didn't, right? But we had a lot of competition for this, and Alabama's getting it. Huntsville in particular, so congratulations, everybody. Katie, congratulations. This will result in more than 30,000 Alabama...
Not for nothing, but Pisco's conversation with Ryan last night really changed how I feel him. If you have time, watch the first few minutes of it. Wait, what? Link. Or who's Ryan? Ryan Beard? Or Ryan Mullally? Wait, which is that one of the Vanguard people? Or I don't know. Oh, no, wait. The lawyer guy? Wait. First few minutes. Was it here?
Hell yeah.
I've got total control. The VOD ain't up. Okay, well. Okay, I don't care about that. Don't care about this. Boom, boom. Oh, no. Friend of the stream, Owen Schroyer, has resigned from Infowars, alleging Alex Jones was pressuring him to back off on criticism of Trump and be less of a pessimist. Oh, no. He was being too mean to Daddy Trump. What?
That's true. And I started watching it and notice it's why I'm leaving Infowars. Not I quit or I was fired leaving it nebulous, but just get him on the screen. I can't even look at him. And he's like, oh, I understand why he didn't want me talking about Trump. He'll have his access cut off. That's why I've got to go. Oh, I understand the things I was doing were really causing a problem. No, they weren't. I never told him you ought to do this or that. I said, hey, you can attack Trump all you want, but hey, we also need to stay on top of the Democrats here. I said that on air. I never even said that to him in person. I said on air. That's what talk show hosts do. I started out in talk radio. Other shows on the same station, the morning show talks about the afternoon show, and they disagree and agree, and they have debates. That's normal. We're not a cult here. I'm not censoring somebody because I say I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I have Nick Fuentes on who says he's totally done with Trump. I say you're making good points. That's what I say, but I disagree on this and that. And Nick goes, oh my God, you're censoring me because you disagree with me. That's not what that is. And I talked to Nick this morning. He obviously thinks that, or I even told him what went on, that, you know, Owen handled it completely wrong. But it was as I started this.
So did we never get a decision on the selling off his company? What happened here? How did he still maintain the brand and everything?
This morning, I didn't do my workout because I was busy, and I decided, okay, I'm going to go and watch these clips. And I sat there, and what made me really mad was he was acting all sad and hurt, and oh, you know, this happened, and well, and it was like innuendo.
It was supposed to be the onion should buy. Yeah, I remember the judge blocked some sale, but then what? So he just got to keep it, or what? What the fuck?
Oh, for hours and hours, and at the end, oh, Alex never censored me.
What's the name of the EQ plugin I use? I'm just using, there's a 3-band, which I'm realizing is maybe not sufficient. I use the 3-band one that's built into the RME software. Some guy wants me to use, Yoji wants me to use Fab Lifter or something. Fab Filter? Fuck that. I don't believe in software EQ. Except this one I'm using that I guess is software EQ.
But he stood over my shoulder. Yeah, like what, once a month, come in to give me something? Which we was hired, that was part of the thing. That's what those microphones in the control rooms. I want everybody to get on there. Hey, breaking news, I'll come in and hand them a, you see this on Fox? This just happened. Go tell Owen. Doesn't mean have him on. He was mad. He told the crew. Then I'll have a guest on and say, hey, you're here, you're a huge guest. Nick Fuentes as an example. Or whoever, Roger Stone, whoever it is. Hey, did they book you? Hey, call Owen, see if he wants him on. Owen told the crew that was me controlling a show, just helping a newsroom. Hey, you want to go on another show? Let's see if they can have a slot for you. That's what he's got. That's what David Knight had, because they need to be censored. They need me to be the villain. Oh, my gosh, one time they only uploaded the first hour of his show instead of 3, and so the evil people that just upload everywhere and 99% of the time get it right, they made a mistake. Finally, Alex Jones censored me. Finally, oh, finally, it's so good. It's so, I'm a victim. I'm the best. He's bad. See, he was evil. I was good. And that's why people that ask me, and I've talked about this a lot on air, you see it all the time. I'll have a guest on, and we go to break. And that they post and go, look, when they talked about this subject, he went to break. And they don't show that coming out of the break, we always come back to it. Or the breaks have been set for 27 years at the exact same time. Got one coming up in 14 minutes, 20 seconds.
Fablifter's industry standard software? Oh, I know. Because it's got that industry standard pricing.
Set your watch by it as an atomic clock. They censor by not showing you what they said after and then invert it and say, I censored. That's what other people do, because this is the whole thing, to manufacture censorship. And so you can have a Streisand effect. Oh, there was bad stuff going on. You know, I had to go. It was, you know, this and that. And I mean, like, we're not human. That's very sociopathic. We're not human. And to boost yourself so you can get 1 million live streamers watching, you hear this right here. You know, couldn't do that on regular news topics. Oh, it's done some great stuff, done great work, so I hired him. No, before.
Dude, people that print out pictures of tweets, these people are unhinged, okay?
Reason, if I can just get that hit again, I'll just come out and attack Alex Jones and play victim and act sad the whole time. True, that's true. And I started watching.
Even if you wrapped the entire planet in a solar panel, you would only be producing 20% of global energy. One of the biggest mistakes politicians can make is equating the electricity with energy. What? Earth gets about 1.5, is that terawatts per hour a day of solar energy, over 3,000 times the global energy use. Covering just 1% of land with solar panels could theoretically power the planet. Okay. This guy, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tommy?
Wait, Trump just said what? Hold on.
American space assets and detect any threat to our homeland. We initially selected Huntsville for the Spacecom headquarters, yet those plans were wrongfully obstructed by the Biden administration. And as you know, they moved them to a different locale. And today we're moving forward with what we want to do and the place that we want to have this. And this will be there for hopefully hundreds of years. That's where it's going to be. I will say I want to thank Colorado. The problem I have with Colorado, one of the big problems, they do mail-in voting. They went to all mail-in voting. So they have automatically crooked elections. And we can't have that. When a state is for mail-in voting, that means they want dishonest elections, because that's what that means. So that played a big factor also. In Huntsville Spacecom.
Like, that's a disqualifying. That's an impeachment statement right there. That should be impeachable. You're deciding where to move our space command? Did he just say that this had to do with, like, potentially national security stuff because of mail-in voting, because of your politically partisan opinions? What? Excuse me?
will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. Missile Defense Shield, we're going to be having a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. The finest, the best. And by the way, Canada called. They want to be a part of it, and that'll be great. But Canada wants very much to be included in that, and we're going to work something out with them, I hope. It will also ensure that our technological capabilities, of which we're way ahead of anybody else, there's nobody close, remain unmatched long into the future. So I'd like to ask Secretary Hegseth to say a few words. He was very much a part of it. And really, everybody behind me was. Every one of these people would call me and lobby me. I said, Katie, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I know what you want. She said, that's right, sir. That's what I want. And they got their way. So I just want to congratulate. These are really special people. They're politicians.
Cringe. How are we going to win the Civil War if the Space Command's in Alabama? Russia to kill our president. This is an actor. Who the fuck is this loser? Chairman, Austrian Committee for NATO Enlargement for Austria. I don't. Okay. This significantly. Okay, wait. What is this? How long do I need to listen to this for?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Let me just get you on screen in a second. Just one quick second. But hopefully you're doing well.
Yeah, buddy.
One sec. Oh, wow. I think it already has captured it. Perfect. One sec. Wait, how does it know? How the hell does it know? Okay.
Dude, I'm so hopeless with like all the streaming doodads. It's brutal. I'm trying to learn, and it is like a foreign language.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to assist. One sec. Boom. Do this, and then transition. Ooh, I think this works. Perfect. How you doing, Ryan? I think everyone can see you now. Chat, tell me if that's right. And I think everyone can hear you. That's more important. Try saying something real quick.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yep, I sure can. I'll put you down just a tiny bit so that we're not in the red. But how are you, my brother?
I'm well. Rocking this subtle championship belt, feeling good about things.
Dude, you feel proud about that judge, the judge discussion that took place? As long as you feel proud about that.
They had a big debate on presidential immunity, and apparently the judges ruled that Ryan won 2-1. I tuned into a little bit of it. It seemed like the same old stuff. I thought about doing a big dive into that to debate this with him. I don't know if I would or not. Well, maybe. We'll see. I think there are more relevant things right now. But
I mean, you know, I saw the title of the video you put out, and you wouldn't have known that I'd won the debate with the title you put on there. So I made this little championship belt for myself.
Well,
so I feel a moment of accomplishment.
Depends what you mean by winning the debate. What you mean is convince 3 pretty illiterate judges, or sorry, two, right?
Illiterate. Damn.
We had three judges, but yeah, typically, Pisco, when you do a debate and there's judges, the way you tell who won the debate was by how the judges vote.
First of all, I didn't even know they were gonna have fucking judges. I barely read the fucking chat. Second of all, I know that it was in the chat. I'm just saying I didn't know they were gonna fucking. I thought it was gonna be a hosted conversation with Admiral Gibbs as moderator. Gibbs didn't really moderate at all. Second of all, I'm more interested in the conversation with you. You know, a conversation between two frenemies, as I put it.
Yeah, man. And first of all, I just want to give Gibbs some props. That is actually like a very cool format.
It's a cool format.
I think people should watch it more because, like, the idea of having the judges instead of just a moderated conversation, I think is cool. I like that Gibbs tries to take a hands-off approach.
Will you cover the world's leading G-side scholars calling what Israel's doing a G-side genocide? Probably not. I don't think I care that much at this point, but...
Because obviously he's not like a neutral body in a lot of this stuff, so having him be hands-off is good. And I also like that the judges got to ask questions, which that's I think when I realized I was like, man, you and I got to talk about this, because there was some like self-reflection that was happening while you and I were trying to fight about like where the judges were and what was effective and what wasn't effective with them, which I found like fascinating just from like an advocacy perspective. It's like it was a very different format than I'm used to.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know what to say about it. Like, if we're gonna do like a formal debate, I think it should be a formal debate.
Wait, hold on one second.
It's kind of a weird kind of middle zone, and I do like the structure of having debates, almost like a pseudo moot court type situation. You know, that to me sounds pretty cool, and everyone was nice enough. But the notion that like people are weighing openly the things that they said that they were weighing, like, didn't strike you as problematic?
Well, no, I thought going into it strategically, like my view was, compared to a conversation I might have with you, like in a setting like this,
like right now,
was that I needed to just simplify. Like I wanted everything to be like 1-2 bullet points. I wanted it to be short, punchy, and simple. And then when the judges started asking questions and I realized where they were, I was like, oh shit, I need to simplify 10x what I planned. I need to go even simpler. And then, like, being critical, my feedback for myself is I didn't simplify enough. Like, if like the judge who voted for you, it was 2-1, right? One of them voted for you, and he basically said, nobody convinced me of anything, nobody scored any points, but Ryan had the burden of proof, so he loses. And then he said this thing that stuck with me. He said, well, because he said Ryan kept talking about Congress doesn't have the power to regulate, but he never connected the dots because we're talking about what judges do. So how does that matter? And I was like, holy shit. I needed to, in my argument, I needed to say, the only way you can be convicted of a federal crime is if Congress regulates it by making it criminal. And if Congress lacks the power to do that, then a court can't allow you to be convicted. Like, I didn't connect those dots for him.
But
And the whole, like, that's the feedback. I should have done it.
When you bill two lawyers to come on and have a discussion about a legal topic, do you think that you're preparing for some least common denominator, baby's first introduction to what judges do? Or do you think that you're, like, what's the point of having two lawyers who are fairly well read on this topic come on and discuss this issue if it's not at a high level? That's why I kind of just like, okay, I get the criticism that, like, I was looking for, and I felt that was very productive on some areas that I do want to get into in some respect on the immunity. I want to have a conversation with you about the immunity at a high level, and that's kind of what I went into it wanting to do. And the whole notion that you're now stating, which might be true, frankly, that you would need to even explain that we are dealing with Congress's authority here, because ultimately it's the courts, interpreting whether the act of Congress is itself in conflict with some sort of executive power. That to me just strikes me as like, okay, is this what we wanted to do? We wanted to have this conversation at the lowest possible level. I mean, maybe that is the conversation we were having on the terms we were having it, but it's like, why would we want that?
Well, I mean, I think it's all contextual, right? Like, we went to a debate with judges. And the goal, like any advocacy, when you have judges, when you have somebody who's deciding, you pitch to them, right? And like, just like in a conversation with you, and I know your audience loves me, so I'm sure they won't take this the wrong way.
Sure.
I'm not really trying to convince your audience of shit, because I kind of know where they stand already and they know where I stand. It's like when I talk to you about stuff at a high level, what's interesting to me about that conversation is getting to play out the ideas and stress test them and like work them out and like do it in real time, really have the conversation. That's really interesting to me. And that's why I like having these conversations with you, even though we disagree. But when you're talking to like a debate and you're saying there's judges and there's gonna be a winner at the end, then yeah, you got to pitch it to your audience. And I think one of the things to me that was so interesting about that is I've done oral arguments before, like in like my practice and everything like that, but it's always been before
judges, right?
A judge or an arbitrator. I've never argued before a jury. I've worked a jury trial as a clerk, but I've never done it as a lawyer. And pitching your point to a jury is like a whole different thing. And Charlie, one of the judges, she said it. She was like, yeah, we're going to be like a jury. And at the time, I didn't think about it much. And I should have, because she was really telling us what that was going to be like. It was like, yeah, man, you got to pitch this for a lay audience that is trying to catch up with you and make yourself understood, which is a different skill.
He's addressing the death allegations? Well, he's not dead, so what else could he possibly say?
Sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And
Really?
Nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own, pretty nearby on the Potomac River. And no, I've been very active actually over the weekend. I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff.
I'm glad it's
well, it's fake news. It's just it's so fake. That's why the media has so little credibility. I knew they were saying, like, is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said, I just left. And it's also sort of a longer weekend, it's Labor Day weekend. So I would say a lot of people know I was very active this Labor Day. I had heard that, but I didn't hear it to that extent. Go ahead, Peter.
Something else. We know that this country has a huge problem with school shootings. You've said that you're open to sending the National Guard pretty much anywhere. Would you ever consider sending an armed National Guardsman to every school?
He's just going to say, oh, yeah, maybe I'll consider it. Will he say no to this obviously ridiculous thing? Will he ever say no to anything?
Well, we have a big problem with school shooting, but we also have thousands and thousands of schools that run perfectly. They talk about you can do things construction-wise, and that's really, I think nobody knows more about construction than me. You can build the construction doors. You can build what they call safety doors, where they lock on the outside, the inside, and every place else. Well, but if one of these lunatics happens to get through, then the police can't get in. Then they're looking for keys all over the place, and it takes a lot of disadvantages to doing, spending billions and billions of dollars and actually making it safer in some way for some of these lunatics that we're dealing with. But I don't think so. I've thrown out the concept. We have great teachers that love our children. The parents love the children. Teachers love the children too. And if you took a small percentage of those teachers that were in the military, that were distinguished in the military, that were in the National Guard, et cetera, and You let them carry. That's something that a lot of people like. I sort of liked it. I'd have to be studied, but they're trained. They know about weapons. You can't do it with every teacher because most teachers don't know, and But I always thought that would be an alternative. But it just we've had a lot of instances. Other countries have also. They have different kinds of problems than we have, but we do have. There's something going on. And it's a bad thing. Yes, please.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Okay. School shootings are bad. Thank you.
Have you spoken with President Putin?
Yeah, I don't want to. I have learned things that will be very interesting. I think in the next few days you'll find out.
Will there be any consequences if there isn't some type of announcement of a meeting with President Putin and President Zelensky?
Yeah,
and what could those consequences be?
We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what they do and what happens. I'm watching it very closely. Last week they lost 7,000 between the two countries. 7,313 soldiers, to be somewhat exact. 300. Last week they lost 7,000 between the two countries. 7,313 soldiers, to be somewhat exact.
Oh, 7,313. Okay.
For no reason whatsoever. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian, but they're soldiers. I want to see it end. Yep.
Mr. President, have you decided you're definitely going to send National Guard troops to Chicago?
I didn't say when, but the answer is, look, Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole.
Chicago, Baltimore, worse than Afghanistan. Okay.
Right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible. If we didn't put out the fires, and I mean the other fires, the bullet fires, they didn't do a good job with. They should have had the water coming down, like I said. We had to release the water. We had to go in and release the water to L.A. It's so badly run. But if I didn't send the National Guard into Los Angeles, I would be making an announcement today. I'd be talking about Huntsville, and I'd simultaneously be saying, by the way, the Olympics is not coming to Los Angeles. If we didn't do that, and even the sheriff, the top law enforcement person in Los Angeles said, we could not have handled it without them. So that's what he said.
Make your mind up on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave in talking about it. You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago, it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad. Really bad. We took 1,600 people out.
In 1 week.
Hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week. You know, it was like years, many years, where every single week somebody was killed for many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had, last week it was announced that nobody was killed last week. And I made that announcement in front of a very distinguished leader of a country. And I'm saying proudly, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was killed in Washington, D.C. this week. He looked at me like, what's that all about? I say, yeah, we have a little bit of a crime problem. And we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor has been very helpful. And the police commission has been very helpful. And it's been a great team. And I would love to have Governor Pritzker call me. I'd gain respect for him and say, we do have a problem. And we'd love you to send in the troops. Because you know what? The people, they have to be protected. I saw today on one of your networks, not a friendly network, except really the opposite, I would say, very unfriendly network. And they interviewed about 12 people on this morning. Most of them were African American, they were black.
Thank you for clarifying.
And they were saying, please, please, please let the president send in. These were people from Chicago. Please, we need help. We need help. We can't walk outside. We're petrified. If the governor of Illinois would call me up, I would love to do it. Now, we're going to do it anyway. We have the right to do it because I have an obligation to protect this country. And that includes Baltimore. I saw where Governor Moore was asking me to take a walk down the street of Baltimore. Well, Baltimore is a very unsafe place. It's rated number 4 in the city, one of the most unsafe places anywhere in the world. But, you know, we took care. This was a beautiful thing that happened in Washington because we showed that it could be done. And this wasn't just sending big, strong guys, and they are big and they are strong. You know, we had a great decision from the Supreme Court that had to do with sort of talent. It had to do with you are put down based on merit. You can hire based on merit. So merit for a soldier or for a policeman is strong, physically fit.
Obviously, sending in the National Guard without cooperation from governors is retarded, but crime in Chicago is at an insane level. How should the country address it? I feel like this is such a winning argument from conservatives that normal people resonate with. What is the liberal solution? Well, the problem is that all of this reality is just created for people. And when you create reality for people, you can change reality for people. Reality is literally whatever they want it to be. So in DC, if you walked anywhere, you got killed. And now, if you walk anywhere, you're not going to get killed, right? The first statement was never true. The second statement, I guess, is true, but it's not. It's inconsequential because it was never that way anyway, right? This is why when they're pushed over and over again, are you going to send the National Guard to all these dangerous cities in the South? They always say no because they don't actually give a fuck about what any of the reality is, you know? Supposedly, there were 20 million illegal immigrants that were destroying this country. I heard that over and over and over again. Now that Trump is here and has closed the border, they haven't gotten rid of all the people in the country, but it's like not a problem at all anymore. It went from literally being the worst problem possible that was affecting every American to now nobody is talking about it or seems to care that much. We're just painting the wall black. So when you create a fictitious problem, you can solve it, you know, just as easily. If you want to fix crime, crime is complicated. Conservatives are too stupid to deal with the problem, it seems, and they're also not in charge of these liberal places anyway, but their ideas are retarded. But also, like, the wokies don't want to seriously deal with the problem either. So it's because they think that, like, every single crime discrepancy is just racism from the police force. So I don't know how you deal with that. You have to change the political climate. The winds in the United States need to change before you can actually have serious conversations. Maybe at the local levels in these cities, maybe they have better conversations about it, and we just don't see them nationally.
Having a certain ability, not a person that is woke and got the job through woke, but wasn't strong enough to lift a gun out of the holster, et cetera, et cetera. No, I looked at the police, as you know, last week I went over, we had a meeting with...
Like, this is retarded. Oh, we're going to fix the police departments by making them not woke? Okay.
There had to be 300 people, and they were all very impressive looking. And when the bad guys see them, they're not going to do a thing. And so I'm very proud of Washington. It serves as a template, and we're going to do it elsewhere. But Chicago is certainly going to be high. I would love to have him call. I would love the governor of Illinois. I'd be honored to take his call. All he has to do is say, sir, we need help. It's out of control. And everyone knows it is. He's not kidding anyone. I would love to have... I would say Governor Moore call, because I watched him over the weekend trying to explain that Baltimore, what they need is housing. No, they don't need housing. They need to get rid of the criminals. These are hardcore criminals. You know, we took many people off the streets of Washington, D.C. They're hardcore. They're not going to be good. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals. What's up, homie? Frankly, they were born to be criminals, and they're tough and mean, and they'll cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next day. They won't even remember that they did it. And we're not going to have those people. Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe place, and you can walk, Katie, you can walk right down the street with, by the way, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, which is her husband. He was a football player for like 11 years in the NFL. He's a big person. But big doesn't mean anything when they have guns and when they have knives and everything else. they have, right? But you can walk right down the street even by yourself and you're totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a great thing. Yes, ma'am, please.
Calling on Democratic leaders across the country to work with you on crime. News your efforts here in D.C., including, for example, working with Mayor Bowser here as a model for bringing more bipartisanship in matters not only with crime, but also issues that matter to everyday American people's lives.
So Mayor Bowser's been great. She could have taken the thing well, and then after I clean it up, they'll take credit for it. You know what they do is they take credit. Like, we cleaned up Los Angeles. We did a great job there. And it was overwhelming what was going on. And again, the police chief made a statement that we could not have done, there's no way they could handle. You saw what was happening out there. It was going to be a disaster. We stopped it cold. If we didn't do that, it would have been a very sad day. And you know, remember, we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, we have all these things coming, and we have 250, all of these things coming. But I watched Newsom get up and say, he's doing a great. He's not, we're the ones that did it, and that's okay, whatever it takes. But the main thing is, but he got up and said, we did it. Well, he didn't want us there, and he's going to need us again because it's starting to form again. I see it. It's starting to form again. You know, we have to maintain. It's like maintenance on an airplane. You can buy it, but you have to maintain it. And if you don't maintain it, a good plane becomes very unsafe very quickly. So,
like, that's the job of the National Guard, is to just go around and maintain states. Like, what? This is fucking retarded. This is just stupid. I don't know why I'm listening to this guy.
And
is there anything else worth listening to here? I don't know why.
Thought that, that was interesting, and it was something I was like trying to do in real time because I don't think I wanted to be simple, but
okay,
I would prefer to be more simple.
There, I want to relive some of what the judges said. So the first judge said, "Well, I just think impeachment is the proper remedy," and so I voted for Ryan. What a fuck! Like, I just have to say, how is that addressing the topic at all? Why is he saying like, okay, yeah, you won this judge, the judge who said that we thought was ultimately the thing is I just think impeachment is the better remedy for this. And so
well, that's why I thought it was clever.
That's so stupid. Like, you're gonna take a victory lap based on that, and then I'll say the second thing. I'll respond.
Are you predicting that what they're about to do will not change the crime rate in the medium to long term in Chicago? What are they trying to do in Chicago? You mean related? Are they doing something in Chicago? Or are you talking about this National Guard thing? The National Guard thing is not even going to change anything in the medium to long term for DC. No, this you don't fix crime by just going in and getting rid of a bunch of criminals and then leaving like that. Like, it's just a few people who are born to be criminals who are just there, and then once they're gone, the crime is all gone, you know? Do you trust information that the White House releases about Trump's health? Only a little, not at all, or a great deal and somewhat? Only a little or not at all is at 52%, and then the agreeers are at 35%. Damn. Damn. Uh-oh.
Lie about her. That doesn't mean you get to lie.
What is this? No, friend of the obsessor of the stream, Gisticle.
By me, that doesn't mean you get to lie to the people who follow you, who follow your creators. Stop fucking lying.
This is about
so
making Democrats stronger. None of this is about giving good or transparency. Because Taylor Lorenzo only people accept dark money too. If that's how you define it, 100%.
Proof?
Okay.
His thread literally proved nothing. It's just garbled garbage. The thread he did, total bullshit. I'm starting to think that, not unlike Willie Mac, did Destiny have like a ghostwriter before? Because I swear to God, since the allegations came out, he's gotten dumber. And I'm starting to think he might have actually had a ghostwriter before. Because he does that whole thread where he shows that in 2022, I think, the Omidyar Network Services LLC accepted $45,000 from the 1630 fund. And that LLC doesn't work back up into the Omidyar Group and down to the Journalists Without Borders, whatever the fuck that program's called, right? Journalists in Residence program. And Omidyar came out and said, no part of the 1630 fund has ever touched that money, right? Taylor Lorenz is objectively not taking that dark money. But they don't deal with reality. They just are good with lying.
They don't deal with, this is the whole point, is that the money is fungible. Like, the money that the Omidyar's 501c4 gives to the 527, the money that they give is just for services. It's for $15.5 million of services. So basically all of the expensing of the company, the management, everything is handled by the dark money slush fund. Yeah, they don't pay directly for the journalists, but I mean, if you've got all of your services and your basic stuff covered by the, I don't know why I'm explaining this. This is obvious. This is retarded. This guy is retarded. But I don't know why he's pretending to do politics now, because he has to take the opposite position and everything. So he's trying to defend Taylor and attack me on this. But okay, whatever.
I don't know why.
And then because she's accepted money from that Omidyar whatever fucking fund, which funds itself also with a hybrid structure and a 501c4, which is dark money. That's why she considers it dark money, because the 1630 fund is the same thing, right? So it's not about any of that bullshit. It's just about destroying. It's just about destroying people who are part of the Democratic Party. It's just,
they might be a 501c4 and they might fund themselves the same way.
Wait, what is wrong with this person? Pete, who isn't Pacific time anymore? We're on the East Coast, baby. Hold on. Boom. How about that? Okay.
Way. They're allowed to disclose if they want to, right? I think.
The 1630 fund is the same thing, right? So it's not about any of that bullshit. It's just about destroying. It's just about destroying people who are part of the Democratic Party. It's just,
they might be a 501c4 and they might fund themselves the same way. They're allowed to disclose if they want to, right? I think. I would just love to see where's the Omidyar funds shit coming from. Because if she's getting it from a 501c4 and the funding is non-transparent, then I would say it's dark money. But I've not seen that argument. That's not an argument he made. Or wasn't the argument he made. It's a 501c3, not a 501c4? Okay, can you hide the funders with a 501c3 in the same way?
But the 501c4 you kind of can, yes. So that's, and it is a 501c4. So, but
Because
he doesn't even have any idea what the underlying structures are. So why is he even trying to go so hard against me? I don't understand why. How can he feel so strongly about what I'm saying when he doesn't know any of the underlying structures?
So, hold on.
Like, he has no idea what he's talking about.
C3s do not have to disclose?
They both have to disclose, but it's a different type of. He doesn't even know why the 501c4, what the disclosure means. I don't know why. Okay.
I know Midyar is literally the name of the billionaire. That's what I said. 501c3s have to disclose. C4s don't have to disclose. C3s I thought do have to disclose. So, is he just lying here blatantly? Okay, well, cool. When Jistical criticizes me, Jistical is not trying to like make me a better person or have me held accountable or whatever. He just wants to destroy me in my career, right? I'm just sitting here calmly analyzing how he's making things up because he hates Taylor Lorenz. How about we just Google it? Well, I don't really have to Google it. That was already my understanding.
But you have no understanding. You don't even know how the entities are organized, let alone what the rules are for. Why would he say that?
Midyar Network has to publicly file with the IRS. GG. I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here and I just like knowing the truth on things. I even said, if they are a 501c4, they fund themselves.
Like, why not just watch my stream where I'm autistically spending like 2 hours, or not, it was probably like an hour, like reading up on these all their fucking filings or whatever.
Same way in their 501c4, and that 501c4 feeds down into the journalist program that she's in, then you can make that argument. I literally said,
it literally does feed into the same thing, though. It's just not saying, hey, take this money for your journalist program.
I just laid out conditionally.
Okay, don't stop. I don't care about this guy.
Man, I thought that Uber driver was going to kill me. Not because he was Asian, but because he was a woman. He? Trans. Oh. You ruined the joke, but speaking of trans people, I'd rather they didn't. Not because I hate trans women, I just hate women. I don't like it when they speak. But I do hate trans people. Just kidding. Okay. Gay people overall, they're just super great. You know, great at kissing in public all the time. Like, do that shit in private, at home, where no one has to see that shit. Here's a list of minorities who I think get too much credit. People from El Salvador. We should deport them. Still workshopping that. What? What? You don't like edgy humor?
You see people are speculating that Trump might be sick or something.
Yeah, I heard about that.
JD Vance, please work your magic.
Uh-oh.
What is the implication there?
Well, people think that he killed the Pope because he met him like a day before he died.
So by working his magic, you imply that you hope he kills Trump.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
What?
I don't know. I don't get you people. The world is divisive enough. Why do we have to spread hate? You're cheering on the death of an old man, a sitting president, leader of our country.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate being the friend that's too woke, but...
Hey, it's every single person on my Twitter replies. Somebody linked this and I saw this, but it looks cheap as...
coming in, so...
I don't care about you. This looks cheap as fuck. I love Final Fantasy Tactics, and I feel like I would buy random FFT shit, especially if it was like first-party official stuff, but... What is this? Maybe. Did you ever see the Alex Jones of the left versus the Cenk Uygur of the right? Oh, this is old as fuck. We seen that a long time ago. What is that? Are they people who've never seen escalators before, or? Based. Okay. Quite. Yeah. Okay. Never forget what they took from us.
Sorry I'm late.
Wait, is that real? Or is this like a troll thing? I can't tell. Is this... It's real? Is that Ben Affleck? Or is this something different? Or... Kino. Who is this guy? I feel like I see this Ken Klippenstein dude say dumb shit. Am I making that up? Why specifically? Is this a bot account? I tweeted this out earlier. Go support my tweets. Mainly because I hate this article. Here you go. Pretend I'm spamming this 4 million times in my chat like Hassan does. You debated Alex Jones with him? No, that's not those guys. Or did I... Oh, or was he on stage during the one event in Austin? At this point, Wired should remove Taylor Lorenz's chorus article unless she can substantiate a single major claim in it. It was written and stylized as a hit piece, and every major claim listed in the article is incorrect. She has yet to provide any evidence for any of the listed claims, despite multiple content creators from the platform openly refuting every major claim. If she's not willing to post the contract that she supposedly has access to and is reading from, the article needs to be retracted in its entirety. 1, there doesn't seem to be anything mandating secrecy of any part of the contract, according to multiple creators who have come forward. 2, there is zero proof or evidence that Chorus is dictating opinions or giving content demands to the creators who are signed up to the program. 3, multiple creators have come out and said that they've already publicly acknowledged the program, and them getting paid by it is literally listed on the website. The article has multiple contradictions as well. 1, the article claims that at least one creator, Anonymous LOL, was told they couldn't review the contract, yet the article opens up with a bunch of creators going over a revised contract, meaning it seems obvious they could redline it and ask for revisions. 2, there are times where this article quotes dubious experts like Dubois and says that the legality of this is questionable, yet the same article states that they weren't allowed to make direct contributions to campaigns, which satisfies the FEC rules. 3, the article claims that influencers weren't allowed to organize their own independent events, but also said they had to notify Chorus when they did organize their own events. How can both of these things be true? The entire socialist/communist media apparatus has jumped on board, echoing all of these same false/defamatory claims, including blah, 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 blah. None of these creators will be retracting this. So whatever, post this bullshit. And then Ken says, why specifically? Did you just not read anything I said, or? Okay. Glenn responded to the Vanguard quote tweet. Blue MAGA out here screaming fake news and trying to call Taylor Lorenz's manager. Brian Tyler Cohen and Chorus would litigate this with Wired/Condé Nast in court if the below accusations held up to scrutiny, but they don't because they would lose in humiliating fashion. Why not just respond to a single claim and prove me wrong then? No? Is Wired generally considered a trustworthy name? If so, and the article's bad, why are they keeping it? I think Wired is generally considered a pretty good publication. Yeah, I don't know why they're keeping it. But my guess is they probably on the politics side of things, maybe they just don't dig into the articles that much. Their editorial board there is not that deep, maybe. I guess maybe they're more tech focused. I don't know. Specified Destiny maintains a steadfast commitment to Israel despite multiple pedophile scandals. Though those two things... This guy who had the sub-dom cum gay tape leak really wants to go there with me? Seriously? Is that where we're going with that, Glenn? Okay. None of these guys will respond to anything because it was annoying watching all of them repeat the same fucking lies over and over and over again. Democrats flinched during the last spending showdown. They should do it again. Yeah, what did we get for our last thing? Schumer? What did we get for that?
Taylor Lorenz wrote an article for Wired in which she alleges that several high-profile content creators on the left are being paid by dark money.
He's going to attempt the impressive feat of debunking this article without reading it. I'm going to try to rebunk it.
So much worse in the last 24 hours. It's so bad. There are just so many lies in that article. Just blatant lies. Wired has to retract that article. They have to. Taylor claimed in that article that these content creators were making content on behalf of Chorus. Chorus!
No, it doesn't. Nowhere in the article does it say that content creators are being paid to post on behalf of Chorus. It does say the goal of Chorus is to build a new infrastructure to fund independent progressive voices at scale, and that the creators who joined are expected to attend regular advocacy training. That content.
It says that there's content direction. That's what that claim
These
is.
content creators were making content on behalf of Chorus.
That they were maybe behalf of Chorus is not the best phrasing here, but that they were making under content direction, which that article does say. Right?
No, it doesn't. Nowhere in the article does it say that content creators are being paid to post on behalf of Chorus. It does say the goal of Chorus is to build a new infrastructure to fund independent progressive voices at scale, and that the creators who joined are expected to attend regular advocacy trainings and daily messaging check-ins, and they have to attend at least 2 Chorus newsroom events per month. Maybe the claim is coming from the subtitle, which says they're being paid to push the party line, but the article explains that Chorus is paying people whose politics align with what they want in order to spread a message.
Do I care about this video? Do I care about this guy? I'll give him 50 more seconds.
Chorus wants. So that kind of explains this part. If you want to debunk an article, you should show a quote from the article and explain why you think it's wrong, rather than say something that's not in the article and show an unrelated post. The post says Taylor wrote there are restrictions on what sort of political content the creators could produce, but the only restriction mentioned is creators can't use program funds. That's a funding restriction, not content censorship. That's not true either. The article mentions multiple restrictions. The contract prohibits rather than say something that's not use, but the only restriction mentioned is creators can't use program funds. That's a funding restriction, not content censorship. That's not true either. The article mentions multiple restrictions. The contract prohibits standard partnership disclosures, declaring that creators will not publicize their relationship with Chorus or tell others that they're members of the program without Chorus's prior express consent. They also forbid creators from disclosing the identity of any funder and give Chorus the ability to force creators to remove or correct content based solely on the organization's discretion if that content was made at a Chorus organized event. And remember, they're supposed to attend at least 2 Chorus organized events a month, and they're also supposed to use the Chorus newsroom to organize interviews with lawmakers or fully cooperate with Chorus if they don't do that. So maybe interviews with lawmakers would also count as Chorus organized. That's my speculation, though. That's not in the article. Another restriction is that they wouldn't be able to criticize anyone else affiliated with the Chorus program. So he says, Taylor said they're being paid to make...
Okay, I'm good. Bro felt it in the afterlife. Ew. Pentagon authorizes up to 600 military lawyers to serve as temporary immigration judges. Wasn't there some big piece of border legislation that would have made for this? But, okay. Are the
but
troops...
we will continue to go after the worst of the worst across the country, like President Trump has told us to do, focusing on those that are perpetuating murder and rape.
Are there even things active in LA still? Or, like, what the fuck do they even do?
Rape and trafficking of drugs and humans across our country, knowing that every single citizen deserves to be safe.
Part of what distinguished the Los Angeles operations, however, is that National Guard troops were there in essence, protecting or backing up those federal agents as they conducted operations. Is that what we should expect to see in Chicago?
You know, that always is a prerogative of President Trump and his decision. I won't speak to the specifics of the operations that are planned in other cities, but I do know that LA wouldn't be standing today if President Trump hadn't taken action. Then that city would have burned down if left to the devices of the mayor and the governor of that state. And so the citizens who live there, the small business owners in downtown LA, they're thankful that President Trump came in with federal law enforcement officers and helped support keeping those streets open, keep their homes and businesses from burning down, and make sure the law and order was restored.
I just want to clarify one thing you said there. You said LA wouldn't be standing if not for these federal deployments?
So many of those homes and businesses that were in downtown LA and in those areas were dealing with riots and violence, and coming in and bringing those federal law enforcement officers in was incredibly important to keeping peace. And so we are grateful that President Trump was willing to send resources and people in order to enforce the law. And since then, we have arrested 5,000 dangerous illegal criminals out of LA and removed them from our country and had them face justice for their crimes.
That was Trump's Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem saying that LA would have burned down if Trump hadn't sent in the National Guard. I live in LA. With every fiber of my being, on my friends and family, I can assure you that Kristi Noem is 100% full of shit. Protests took up maybe 3 blocks of downtown LA. That's it. A few Waymos were set on fire by people who wanted to instigate a fight. This wouldn't rank in the top 100 protests the city has seen. And so the notion that it was necessary to carry out only the 6th major deployment of the National Guard to Los Angeles since 1965 is an absolute joke. It was an excuse not to quell the protests, but to incite them. Even the police chief admitted that it was unnecessary.
We know the governor's pushing to get the National Guard out of LA, but you've spoken with the city's police chief. What did he...
Oh, this is a big meme today.
Let's get right to our breaking news. A major court loss for the Trump administration. A federal judge says President Trump's use of the National Guard in Los Angeles was illegal. The judge ruling the deployment violates the Posse Comitatus Act, and he warns President Trump's calls to send troops into other American cities would amount to a national police force with the president as its chief. Before this ruling, Trump teased that Chicago is next on his list for troops. The administration is already planning to surge federal resources for immigration arrests there. Chicago's mayor has taken preemptive steps to try and rein in any federal action President Trump takes. For more on all of this, we are joined by NBC senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley and immigration attorney Alan Orr. So Julia, what else are we hearing from this judge? How big of a deal is this ruling?
Well, it's a big ruling when you think about how Trump wants to use the National Guard next. He's already toyed with the idea of possibly sending them to Chicago, something that leaders in that state of Illinois have pushed back on, as well as the mayor of Chicago. And this is also something that we've seen in D.C., although he did have more authority. He has authority over the D.C. National Guard because of its position as the capital city. But since Trump started deploying the National Guard in L.A., which he said was to quell unrest after protests there that started because of ICE arrest, there's been a question about whether or not the president has the authority to call in the state's National Guard. Governor Gavin Newsom said he did not, and whether or not how long he can keep them there.
I mean, I'm not aware of the question. Is there a question to that? I feel like the answer is just no. I don't even think they're trying to make a real legal challenge to that, no?
And what kind of duties they can be performing. It is against this law known as Posse Comitatus, a late 1800s law that said that the military cannot be used to enforce domestic law. It's the same reason why military can't be arresting immigrants when they cross the border. That would be enforcing a domestic law within the borders of the United States. And so in this case, this judge is saying that this was a violation to send National Guard to California. And so now that will be a big question going forward for the Trump administration. Do they continue to push? We've seen them push back court orders in the past. They will likely appeal this. And will they then decide that there is some other justification for sending National Guard to Chicago? One last thing, Anna, what was already so unusual about the idea of sending the National Guard to Chicago is they said they were doing it to crack down on crime there. That's really going a step further than what they did in Los Angeles, where they said it was to respond to unrest. The National Guard has been used in the past to respond to unrest. Sometimes that didn't go very well, like in the 70s during Vietnam protests, but it has been used in that way. In Chicago, to call them in preemptively already raised legal questions. So after a judge is saying they weren't used correctly in California, it's unclear how the White House might pivot or if they'll change their course with the actions they have planned for Chicago.
Well, let's get that answer, if we can, from NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez, who is joining us as well. What is the reaction there, Gabe, from the White House to this judge's ruling, and does it force them to change their approach to Chicago and other cities?
Well, hi there, Anna. Good morning. Well, we are still waiting that reaction from the White House. They are certainly digesting this ruling at this point, so we do not have that immediate reaction.
Why? I feel like it's a bunch of adults like watching a kid who just became emperor, and it's like, oh, is he going to send the troops to go gallop down the Royal Road today? And oh, is he going to do that? Like, we're just kind of like sitting by and watching this fucking retard just, wreaking havoc across the entire economic and legal system for memes, I guess. We're waiting for him to tire himself out.
Just yet, but it is unlikely, Anna, that the administration will back down on some of these other plans. They have been talking about sending federal resources to other cities, as you've been pointing out, including Chicago, Baltimore, New York City. And the president this morning even doubling down on his plans for Chicago, saying on social media that he will clean up that city if he has to. Now, the question is, Anna, how exactly will local officials continue to respond? Over the weekend, you had Chicago's Democratic Mayor Brandon Johnson signing an executive order prohibiting local resources, local police from collaborating with federal law enforcement and federal immigration officials. Now, this afternoon, we're expecting a news conference from Governor J.B. Pritzker to talk more about what might come next from his end. Right now, we do not have a timetable on when the White House may deploy additional federal resources to Chicago, but it does appear to be imminent. Over the weekend, Chicago's mayor said that he believed it would be days, not weeks, before the Trump administration deployed more resources there. And from what we understand, there was a naval base just outside of Chicago that would be used for logistical support. But again,
19 Democratic governors warn Trump not to send troops to their states. Tell them you'll fight back. ICE details historic threats against agents as protests erupt in Portland. Governor Pritzker talks immigration enforcement plan for Chicago. Let's see. Trump admin pushes meme forward social media strategy.
The White House ramping up its norm-breaking strategy to memeified social media pages. Now, even on TikTok, launching an official account, touting controversial policies like the president's federal takeover of the D.C. Police Department.
So that it is no longer a nightmare of murder and crime.
And other content, in many ways looking more like what you might expect to see from online trolls, instead of the highest office in the land. Like ASMR of Trump signing an executive order, with the caption, "The sound libs hate the most." The former White House Director of Digital Content, Billy McLaughlin, recently laying out the strategy in an op-ed for Fox News, saying the posts, quote, "were designed to draw younger Americans. We did not wait to react to headlines, we inspired them." The administration's official entry onto the TikTok scene is somewhat of an about-face. 4 years ago, Trump tried to ban the app because it's owned by Chinese company ByteDance, which Trump said posed a credible security threat to American American data. But after both parties in Congress mandated a sale or ban of TikTok, Trump 2.0 is delaying it and even embracing the app used by 170 million Americans.
Because he likes that they were nice to him. Like, that's it.
As McLaughlin departs the White House with critics calling the TikTok launch a flop, the once chief meme maker also saying in the op-ed, politics and culture are inseparable. You move them together or you do not move them at all. The account has more than 500,000 followers since its first post. Of course, TikTok isn't the only platform with content like this. On Instagram, bump it up with the one big beautiful bill. Even more on X.
Because when you enter this country illegally, you have committed a crime.
And with what started months ago as...
What the fuck was that? What?
With the one big beautiful bill. Even
Can you help Hutch fix the noise gate? Sounds like shit. If he ever wants help, he only has to reach out.
more on X.
Because when you enter this country illegally, you have committed a crime.
And with what started months ago as Ice Ice Baby. Now, behind the scenes ride-alongs with agents making arrests in D.C. We asked the president's team about these posts, and they responded saying they, quote, will continue highlighting our hugely successful efforts to end violent crime in Washington, D.C. Whether any of it is changing minds remains to be seen. Recent polling shows Trump is struggling with younger voters, his approval rating tumbling among 18 to 29-year-olds since the start of his second term, according to one poll. But Democrats are also trying to be part of the convo, to varying degrees of success. California Governor Gavin Newsom's office posting a meme depicting a Hulk Hogan angel, Kid Rock and Tucker Carlson all praying over him. And Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey appearing in a TikTok, calling out the president for violating the Constitution, some calling the post cringe. The White House owning its strategy, posting nowhere in the Constitution does it say we can't post banger memes. But they might also prove that blurring the lines of what is appropriate is just how politics is played nowadays. Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
We thank you for...
New this morning, President Trump's efforts to reshape the nation's trade policy have taken a hit after a federal appeals court ruled that most of his sweeping global tariffs are unlawful. However, the ruling will not take effect until at least October 14th. Now, that gives the Trump administration time to file an appeal with the Supreme Court. CNN's chief data analyst Harry Inton joins me now on how Americans are feeling about tariffs. And it's interesting, you and I were talking about this. I never viewed tariffs as popular with Americans, but at least for Trump's base and supporters, at one point, they were really giving him the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel comfortable. Now, I'm going to say, if you're in the country illegally, you shouldn't feel comfortable. Absolutely not. I won't feel comfortable if I'm in the country illegally. If I'm in some other country illegally, I'm not going to be comfortable. You shouldn't be comfortable either, because when you enter this country illegally, you have committed a crime. You are a criminal. Now,
it doesn't even seem like it's supportive of him. This looks like it's just making fun of him. What the fuck?
I'm going to say, if you're in the country illegally, you shouldn't feel comfortable. Absolutely not. I won't feel comfortable if I'm in the country illegally. If I'm in some other country illegally, I'm not going to be comfortable. You shouldn't be comfortable either, because when you enter this country illegally, you have committed a crime. You are a criminal. Now, I'm going to say, if you're in the...
What is this? Jesus. Never using Hinge again. Wait, is there not a full screen button on Instagram? Ugh. Oh, we don't need it. Okay.
This place is so cool. Do you want to sit next to me? I feel like sitting across is so formal. Yeah.
What was wrong with that? He was just moving. He was just moving down the seat. What's wrong?
This place is so cool. Do you want to sit next to me? I feel like sitting across is so formal. Yeah.
How do I give it a heart? It's not here, right? What?
This place is so cool.
Click the here. Double tap. That just above view count. Oh.
They really were behind, and I will note it was not just the base, it was the overall American public, and they have turned against tariffs the same way college football pundits have turned against Arch Manning after his performance in Columbus on Saturday. Look at this, new tariffs on imported goods. You go back to November of 2024, look, the popular position was favor. They favored new tariffs on imported goods, 52%, 48% opposed. You go to this side of the ledger, look at that, the opposition up like a rocket. We're talking about 60% opposing new tariffs compared to just 40% in favor. So it was majority favor back when Trump was reelected in November of 2024. Now it's a clear 3 in 5 Americans oppose it. The Americans have gotten a taste of the tariffs and they spit it right out.
So is the taste paying more? I mean, because that's how economists have always described this, as actually a tax on consumers.
Yes, that's exactly it. Why?
I like how it's like so controversial. Like, now there are some doctors who have said that chopping off your leg to lose weight is actually not advisable, even though the weight on the scale might go down. It might actually not be the healthiest thing in the world. Some people have described getting in car accidents in the hopes of getting an insurance payout is actually not the best way to raise short-term funds. Some people have actually highly recommended against spending your life savings on lottery tickets, saying that most people probably won't win the lottery. Like,
Is the opposition up like a rocket? Well, it all comes down to money out of the pocketbook, right? Impact of tariffs on prices. Look at this in the short term. 77% of Americans now agree they raise prices in the short term. Look at this itty bitty number at the bottom. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. When you can count it on your own hand, you know it's a small percentage. Just 4% of Americans believe that in the short term tariffs decrease prices. Long term, look, this has long been the Donald Trump argument, right? That even if they're short term pain, in the long term will pay off. Not according to Americans. Impact of tariffs on prices, even over the long term. Look at that.
What do you do when you have no purpose in life? I don't know, pick up an extremist ideology. It's what everybody else does.
50% say increase, just 25%, just half the level say decrease, and while 25% in this particular case is better than 4%, 25% is way less than 50% of Americans who say that fact prices will increase over the long term because of tariffs.
Can you do me a favor and go find who the 4% are?
I will go ahead. I will do something on the street. Of course. I'm sure I can.
Calling for doxing, literally on national news. Good one. Good one, lady.
Times Square and see what I can find out.
Okay, but in all seriousness, from the tariff policy to the trade policy, how is it impacting Trump's overall approval?
Right, okay, if this was happening in a bubble, right, it was, okay, I don't like tariffs, but it isn't impacting my overall view of Trump, I think Trump would be like, forget about it, doesn't matter. But this is why the political implications are so important, because Fox News literally asks, what's the top reason that Trump's doing a bad job? What ranks as number one? The economy, and tariffs ranks as number one. The number one reason why those who disapprove of Trump think he's doing a bad job, it comes right back to tariffs. The bottom line is this: when prices go up, presidential approval ratings go down, and that's exactly what we are seeing in the polling.
Perhaps this was a deflection that Ron Brownstein was talking about in a segment in the last hour about the increase in these ICE raids, because they're deflecting from something the president is not happy about.
That's often something that Donald Trump will do, is if he sees something he doesn't like, he's going to go in the other direction and try and bring the American mindset with him.
All right, Harry, good to be with you.
Nice to be with you.
All right, with us now is Congressman Lloyd Doggett, a Democrat from Texas. Congressman,
I have an ADHD assessment this week. How do I make sure they give me drugs? When you go, make sure that you tell them that you do a lot of meth already, and it makes you feel really good, so you want the legal kind. Boom.
I got to ask you, you're in Austin, I think, this morning. I don't know if you heard Harry Enton just there take this unprovoked swipe at quarterback Arch Manning. I just want to give you a chance to respond to that this morning, since you had to listen to it.
Well, absolutely, I was appalled. I'm very much Longhorn and Hook 'em Horns. We're going to have a better week ahead. It was a tough game, well played by Ohio State, and I think Texas will get better and better and come back, and it will be a good season for us. And final issue of the day, John.
After what Harry said, I had to give you equal time. I think there are rules for me to do that there. Listen, Congressman, you also heard Harry there talking about tariffs and the slipping popularity of the tariffs and concerns about the economy. What are you hearing from your constituents around Austin?
Well, those that remember, President Trump told us in January that he was going to bring prices drastically down. And whether it's a cup of coffee or a new car or any number of things in between at the grocery store, prices keep going up as a direct result of President Trump imposing a new tax by himself called a tariff. And we are now paying significantly more than we were at the beginning of the year in Trump tariff taxes. I think as manufacturers or as importers deplete their inventory, we will have more and more of an impact. Don't know the impact on the holidays, but the prices will be higher everywhere. John, I see all of this just like the other issues you've been discussing this morning and reporting on, whether it's the invasion of American cities with the military, the tariff tax, the decision by the president to repeal or terminate funding that a Republican Congress had approved. All of these things are just part of a pattern of President Trump wanting unrestrained one-man rule, which we...
The anti-Trump strategy that's actually working. Lawsuits, lawsuits, and more lawsuits. Oh my God. If he loses just one more, remember the mining guy, okay? He just needs to lose one more lawsuit. We'll have him, all right? What does ICYMI mean again? Trump says he's awarding former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Nice, for being a treasonous piece of shit. Awesome. He's disbarred for that. Jesus. Oh, in case you missed it. Gotcha. So what's going on? I keep hearing we're deploying like more and more battle cruisers and shit and destroyers off the coast of Venezuela. Are we about to start like bombing these people?
Venezuela's president.
What the fuck is happening here?
Has a warning for the United States. If you mess with our country, you're messing with all of South America. President Nicolas Maduro made those comments in a rare news conference on Monday amid the buildup of U.S. naval forces in the Caribbean. Officials in Washington say ships are moving into the region to combat drug trafficking, allegedly linked to Venezuela. But President Maduro has not taken kindly to the show of force, calling it the biggest threat seen in South America in a century.
8 military ships with 1,200 missiles and a nuclear submarine are targeting Venezuela. This is an extravagant, unjustifiable, immoral, and absolutely criminal, bloody threat.
From Marco Rubio's account, as POTUS just announced moments ago, today the U.S. military conducted a lethal strike in the southern Caribbean against a drug vessel which had departed from Venezuela and was being operated by a designated narco-terrorist organization. Uh-oh.
Have wanted to escalate what they call maximum pressure, which in this case is military. And in response to maximum military pressure, we have declared maximum preparedness for the defense of Venezuela.
Michael Shifter is a senior fellow at the Policy Forum Inter-American Dialogue, and he joins me now from Washington. Appreciate you being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So why are US warships heading toward Venezuela? What's the likely plan, and how long would you expect this fully loaded US flotilla to remain off the coast of that country?
Well, I think it's a matter of speculation about exactly why they're there. The stated reason is to combat drug trafficking.
Wait, hold on. I just want to talk to this person for like 2 seconds.
The biggest issue with the far left is that you guys talk about systems that you don't understand. Like, what even is dark money? You guys throw around terms that you don't even know what the definition of it is. It takes one simple Google search to figure out the motivations of the 1630 Fund. It's run by this woman. Her name's Amy Kurtz. And she spent 25 years fighting for electoral change. She was part of the NEA for almost 10 years, which is the National Education Association. That's the union for teachers. And before that, she spent her entire early career trying to get and she spent it's run by this woman. Her name's Amy Kurtz. And she spent national education career trying to get environmental issues on the ballot. Going all the way back to 2001, she was a full-time campaign manager for the League of Conservation Voters, who I actually worked for back in 2016. And the entire point of the organization is to try to get candidates elected that prioritize environmental justice. This is a woman that's clearly spent her entire career fighting for environmental and social justice. So yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like, what exactly are you guys mad about today? I'm just convinced that these people live in blue cities and blue states, because I just can't seem to fathom how you are so against people actually wanting to win elections to make this country a better place for future generations. The only way that I can conjure that up in my mind, that it makes sense to you, is if you're not seeing the atrocities under this Trump administration happening right in front of your face. If you're watching this and you actually care about winning elections and this matters to you deeply, then please do me a favor and go to our website, unfuckamericaTour.com, sign up to donate, sign up to volunteer, and catch us on our next tour stops. We will be at the University of Colorado, Fort Collins on September 18th, challenging Charlie Kirk, and we will also be at Liberty University at the end of October. And as always, if you have questions after watching this video, send me a DM and I will help you out.
Okay. Wait, I think I'm calling her for a second.
There's nothing more annoying than this. So I made a belt for my belt, called it the belt squared, but it had the same issue. So I made a smaller belt for that belt, called it the belt cubed, and it had the same issue. There's nothing more annoying than this. So I made a belt for my belt, called it the belt squared, but it had the same issue. So I made a smaller belt for that belt, called it the belt cubed, and it had the same issue. So I made an even smaller belt for that belt that uses magnets. I called it belt to the fourth, and it caused me to gain super power. There's nothing more annoying than this. So I made a belt for
Okay. Is Wired like some retarded anti-establishment media site like Vox or Axios? Wait, is Axios a bad site? Even Vox is generally okay, although they lean to the left. Wired, though, I don't think had a hardcore political leaning, or at least I'm not aware of that. Hello, hello. Hold on, I'm an idiot. I have my thing muted. I'm so sorry. Okay, can you hear me? Hello, hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going okay. Okay, I have 2 requests. One you're already doing, though, which is amazing, okay? In your own words, what do you think dark money is?
I really pissed the lefties off yesterday with that, huh? So, I mean, listen, I think that what they're referring to is like lobbying. Is that what you think that they're referring to?
I don't know. It just sounds stupid to me. I don't understand. Like, it's gotten to the point to where when I read some of these articles, I don't even know. Was this in the article or was it in the video Taylor Lorenz did? I think this was in the video she did. She said something along the lines of like, I think it might have been about the 1630 Fund or it was another one, but it was saying this dark money group donated $150 million last election cycle to anti-abortion efforts and something about something on the ballot, and nobody knows what their interests are. And it's like, you just said what their interests are. You just said what they donated the money toward. I don't understand what the fuck is, I don't know what that means. What do you mean you don't know? I feel like people forget that the problem with Citizens United, if you think there's a problem with it, I think it's a hard ruling. But I mean, like, I definitely see the downsides of it, and I can go either way. But like, the problem with Citizens United was the 501c4 infinite money like hack, not the fact that you can't infinitely trace every single dollar donated back to the Federal Reserve, which is what people make sound dark. They make dark money sound like that, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, that's what I don't understand about this whole argument is like, okay, so is every nonprofit now dark money? Is that what the lefties
definitionally,
are saying?
501c3, 501c4, because you can donate to these without doing a, if I want to donate to a campaign, like me as an individual or my company, I have to that has to be on an FEC statement somewhere, right? Like, you can look up every single political donation, but if I donate to a 501c3 or 501c4, it doesn't. But then, like you said, like, this means every single 501c3, every C4, these are all dark money slush funds, I guess. Like,
I guess that's what they're fucking saying. This is what I don't understand, though, is like, okay, so the argument then is that they think we should overturn Citizens United. Is that is that why like we're upset by this quote unquote dark money? Is that the reason? Because they never even fucking mentioned Citizens United.
Sure. And I mean, like, I think you can use that argument to go after that. I'm just, the idea that like, so let's say that you were one of these creators that signed up for Chorus. Who cares where Chorus gets their money from? That's who your employer, or that's who the person you're working with or for is. But then, okay, we even know who Chorus gets their money from. They get it from the 1630 fund. Okay, well, we know what the Chorus's goals are. They have stated goals. We know what the 1630 fund's goals are. They have stated goals. In order to know more, we need to know every single person that gives money to the 1630 fund. Like, wow. Like what?
And then should they quit because of that? That's the other weird thing. So is it like, are they blaming people? Like, for example, if like you work for an airline, like Delta Airlines, right? And you're like an employee, like fucking, I don't know, whatever the employees do, ticket or whatever. And then Trump donates to them. Like, do you then quit your job? Like, is that like what I'm confused.
Well, yeah, because it's a stupid thing to say, but what they'll do then is endlessly audit every single person involved on their Israel-Palestine opinion. And then if they find one they don't like, then yeah, they'll try to toss you. But yeah, it's just this concept. I have a panel tonight where I'm going to fight about this. I think the whole concept of dark money, people just need to throw that out, because I don't think anybody could defend what they actually mean when they say dark money. It just feels like a buzz slogan that means literally nothing.
Well, and also they don't know the motivations of these people, but clearly like the 1630 fund has motivations listed. So like clearly their motivation is to set this up to fight the far right manosphere infrastructure. Like that's very clear as well. You know what's crazy? So I didn't realize you were doing I saw your video on it yesterday or from 2 days ago when you were doing sort of like an overview of the whole thing. And you mentioned Stu Perlman, who was the co-founder with Brian Tyler Cohen. Okay. So I've known Stu for a year. I had no idea that this was like his side passion project, but I've known Stu for years. And this, I guarantee you, he's not making money doing this. I guarantee you. Like, this is like he runs like a very successful business called Good Influence, which I guess was like probably the very first, if not one of the first. They're kind of like a brokerage, right? Like they get these left-leaning influencers, and they basically go to the campaigns and they say, hey, you know, we'll sell you a post or two posts for X amount. And so, like, this is just like a side passion project of his, clearly. Like, I don't think that he's like making millions of dollars doing this.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the entity, they literally can't make money off of it, right? So, like, it just, the whole article was, I think it was just a hit piece, and it's not like nothing good is coming from it. The prescription was basically that, like, they were saying, well, just don't have any middlemen and donate to the content creators directly, in which case they're saying, what, don't have anything then? Just get super chats? Like, I don't know what the point is. And then the second part is, and you kind of hit on this, I think we should stop calling people leftists or like further left. I think there needs to be a stronger separation. I feel like the Taylor Lorenz article did a really good job of this for like not the trigger, but like the socialist communists, like whatever words we want to name for them. Because like these people are fundamentally not interested in the success of the party, and they're not interested in the success of liberals. Like, they want to destroy the party. They want to build something new in its place. I think they should just go and make their own party. So like Emma Vigeland, the Hassan Pikers, Vosh's, like all these people that are just tearing down and like uncritically repeating all of the article talking points that were all just like bullshit, and then hardcore going in on David Pakman, on Brian Tyler Cohen. I think it would be better if people recognize that these people are fundamentally not interested in the Democratic Party, and then it's just so much easier to get away from these, you know, circular firing squad accusations, or the left is eating itself alive. Because I don't think the left is eating itself alive. The left isn't tearing itself apart. And it's not a circular firing squad. It's just one firing squad. It's just them shooting at us over and over and over again. Like, there is no purity testing. There is no way that you're ever going to get on the good side of any of those people, because they're socialists and they have no interest in like the Democratic Party. They want to destroy and rebuild something different, whose sole policy, I guess, has to do with Israel-Palestine and whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that they're never going to be able to make their own party, because they just rely on liberals for us to fucking do everything for them anyway. And like, they wouldn't know how to get ballot access, or like, you don't find people on the far left like out there actually doing the work. So I wish we could do that, honestly, and they should be. What really bothers me too is I was having an argument with this lady on TikTok today, and she was like coming at me about from that video you just did. She was like, oh, you don't really get it. Like, I worked for the League of Conservation Voters. They fudge all their numbers. The same bullshit of all these like far lefties. Crystal ball, all these people are repeating. And it turns out that this woman is running as a Democrat in a Democratic primary in California.
Nice.
And I'm just like, if you hate the party this fucking, why are you even running as a Democrat? Run as an independent.
Yeah.
Run as something else.
Yeah. Or go make a left party if it's so popular. Because remember, the fundamental assumption for all these people is all of America wants to defund Israel. All of America wants Medicare for all. All of America wants a 25 an hour minimum wage. These are so popular. The only reason we're not getting these is because of the duopoly and because of the evil Democrats and because of horrible Joe Biden. Well, then go make your own party and just like win 50% of the vote. If it's like so easy, if there's so many people that think your policy positions are so popular, so obvious, like just do that. You know.
Well, Jay seems to think that that's what he can do, but he couldn't even break 5% in the primary. So that's they've got a long way to go. But I agree. I think like we have to get way more aggressive because I think they're getting more aggressive. Like I've seen, like I don't remember Crystal Ball doing shit like this 5-7 years ago. Like I feel like this is all new.
Did you watch her interview with the senior senator from Michigan?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Why are you even here? Let's talk about Israel-Palestine for the entire interview. Like, Jesus Christ, what? This is a fucking purple state, and you want to make this your deciding fucking issue? Like, yeah, that was crazy.
I just don't get it. I feel like a lot of these folks, they just like, I am yet to meet one of these people that actually live in a red state or even like a flippable state. Like, I feel like all of these people live in
San Francisco,
like major blue
and Portland,
and
Seattle,
Portland is
LA. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, but it's, I mean, the thing is that in some of those places, they could actually do things. Like, I mean, for example, in like New York City, we were a huge part of getting ranked choice voting on the ballot. And that, if you are actually like a far lefty and you actually want to see change in the primaries, like that's a good way to do it. Like get matching funds. But they don't. The thing is like these people don't show up in primaries. If they did show up in primaries, our numbers would be way fucking higher than what they actually are.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
So
I mean, like, I say that too. Like, make your own party, go, like, win in some districts. Like, you know, you claim that you have issues that are popular on the left and right because they keep saying the right is outflanking us on whatever bullshit. Okay, well, then go make a party in West Virginia or go make it somewhere and win, you know, win some House seats, do something. Or like, even some local state assembly seats or whatever in places, you know, like, do something somewhere instead of just trying to co-opt the Democratic Party. But I feel like one of the big issues that the Democratic Party has, I don't think we have to be, like, as sycophantic as Trump, but I think that having, like, a strong message is really hard when it feels like you're getting attacked by your own team constantly. It makes it hard to feel like you have a strong unifying message. But like, let's say that, you know, some Democratic thing comes out and a whole bunch of conservatives are attacking it. Like, that's a good thing to some extent. Like, you should feel like energized by that. Like, good, I'm glad that the Republicans are getting triggered by this. Good, fuck them, you know? Like, that should be an energizing thing to rally around. But when you start getting attacked by them and then you start getting attacked by somebody else who is supposedly on your team, well, now it feels a lot different. Now it's like, oh shit, are we fucking up? Or now we got to be self-critical. Now we got to figure out what's going on. And then when they don't even have your best interests at heart, it's like, okay, well, we're just completely, you know, yeah, I think that the sooner people realize that these people are not on our team, I think the better it will be for the entire apparatus. Because yeah, I feel like David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen are two of like the biggest like strong liberal types that don't go all the way into the communist socialist stuff, but like are very much like nobody. I don't think anybody would accuse Brian Tyler Cohen of being, you know, like a Republican light or center right, or same thing with David Pakman. And the idea that we're going to start shitting on them with this like horrible, like far left media apparatus is, I just think it's super cringe with a bunch of losers who have no political effectiveness anyway. They just write, you know, tweets and articles and do YouTube shows.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's so disappointing because I feel like a lot of these people just weren't like this, like 5-7 years ago, which sucks. Like Kyle Kulinski, especially, like I've seen, and like I agree with what Hutch was saying about Kyle this morning is like, he's not, like we don't need to put the firing squad on him, right? Because like, he's not doing the worst, but at the same time, it's just like enabling these other people like Crystal, like Emma. Even Emma, I used to work with Emma, like, you know, when I was at TYT, and I don't even remember her like being like this either. Like, I don't know how it's like they almost get dragged into their own like fucking pipeline.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. And then every single thing for these people is just Israel-Palestine. That's like the issue that they're all united around. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't even understand. Like, Assad, so like I did like an hour-long interview with Charlie Sykes, and he pulled out like the one tiniest part that I talked about Palestine and Israel. I talked about it for like 3 seconds in an hour-long interview.
And it's just, to me, that shit is so unproductive. I really don't. I mean, I would have a lot more respect for them if they actually just like went out and used their power to do shit.
To do
but that's
anything,
why I'm
yeah.
arguing with Hassan. Like, because it's like, dude, you're going to try to out fucking progressive me? Like, what? You haven't been on the ground for any of these people. What, you like interviewed Mamdani like once before he was famous, and now you can like claim his victory? That shit is ridiculous.
No, hold on. You got to be real careful with that because he's a sneaky little fuck on that one. He had a flight to go to New York City to see Mamdani, and he skipped the fucking flight because he wanted to stream. He only went up to New York City after he won the primary, okay? That's important because he had a thing to go up and talk to him, and he skipped the flight because he wanted to stay fucking home and stream because he needs his clout, he needs his money, he needs his viewership. But then after Mamdani won, he got on Twitter, and he's like, oh, we'll support this guy, we'll do whatever, blah, blah, blah. He is such a fucking clout machine. He's so fucking shameless. It's insane. Oh my God.
He probably didn't even think he could win. Like that was probably
that's why he didn't waste his time.
A lot of people thought.
Yeah, that's why he didn't go. He didn't give a fuck. Yeah, but after he won, well, now he's there to. It's like the what's the children's story about the chicken who plows the fields, plants the seeds, tends to the seeds, and nobody else does anything, and then winter comes and they all die because the chicken won't give them the food because the chicken. Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I making this up?
I don't.
Okay. It's a timeless kids classic. Okay, you should know this. So fuck you. All right, but anyway, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's what I just wanted to. That.
You're going to be on the panel tonight?
Yeah.
Are there going to be far lefties? Everybody I saw in there is like, I think, on our side.
I don't know. Maybe they're so fucking afraid. They won't talk. They have nothing. All they can do is like lob, like clever, quirky little. Not even clever or quirky. I shouldn't say that. They just say stupid shit on the side, like those Vanguard twinks or whatever. They just like say random stupid things on Twitter, and that's all they can ever do. None of these people will ever stand up to any scrutiny whatsoever. It's so cringe. I guess we'll see if any far lefties show up, but yeah.
Yeah, I want to do a real debate on this tonight because I want to see what research they've actually done into this shit. I want to see, have they actually read the contract? Because I've seen clips now with the contract that like seem pretty damn straightforward. So I'd like to know what the hell they have to say about that. Also, I don't know why, but Emma's like on this like crusade now about the difference between article updates and retractions. I'm like, I feel like that's the same thing, but who am I to?
Wait, what do you mean by that? Or expand?
So like, like how Wired put out some updates or retractions to the article.
Mm-hmm.
So she's basically saying that, oh, well, these are updates and updates are different from retractions.
Sure. I would half agree. I think I think the words don't mean anything, but if you read the article before and after, she doesn't actually retract anything. She just adds in parentheses things that the lawyer guy said. I forgot his name. But she doesn't actually change. I think the text of the article is completely unchanged except for what she adds in parentheses, which is a sneaky way of just adding that guy's comments. And yeah. Oh, from Wilson, the lawyer guy, yeah. But
interesting. Well,
I don't know what's going on at Wired when the meat of that article, I'm sorry, not the meat. Basically every single claim listed in that article it's either false or unverified. Like all the creators have disagreed with basically every major point of that article. And I don't know why Taylor Lorenz, supposedly, she keeps saying she read the contract, I don't know why she wouldn't just print it. It's not like she signed the NDA.
Yeah, just put it in there.
Yeah, she can literally have sections of it or print the whole fucking thing on the website. We've seen way more damning stuff published on mainstream media. I have no idea why she wouldn't just publish that contract. And I don't know why Wired would let it stand. That's crazy to me.
That's crazy to me too. That's where I had a lot of questions at first because I was like, well, maybe they do have the contract because if Wired's not putting anything out, then there must be, but I guess not. Like I'm confused. I feel like there has to be consequences to this shit. Like you can't just like publish shit that's unverified in these publications.
Yeah, especially when you're saying you have the contract. And like there are things in this article that are literally contradictory. I think I had 5 big ones. Like one of the biggest ones is just funny because I would consider this to be kind of a big red flag because she said that one content creator who wanted to be anonymous, that content creator claimed that they weren't even allowed to do revisions to the contract. They weren't allowed to redline it or show it to their lawyer to redline. But the article opens with a bunch of creators talking about a revised contract that they received and talking about like any other changes they would make to it. So clearly they were in talks to do that. So there are so many like weird statements like that, contradictions. There's one where she quotes some scholar who's like, oh, like, if you have organizations like this set up and they're using these as sneaky ways to donate, like this is not legal. But then later on, she's like, Cora says explicitly that the content creators aren't allowed to use the funds or anything to help a campaign or anything. It's like, okay, well, that's literally for that point. Why do you have both of these in the article? I don't know. It just seems so stupid.
I hate that. I honestly, it annoys me. But also, like, I question their legitimacy if they hired somebody like Taylor Lorenz to start with. I mean, I was looking over Wikipedia, and holy shit. Like,
Oh, you don't know that. The Wikipedia doesn't tell
who-
half the story. Oh my goodness. But wait, is she actually, did she
Yeah.
work for Wired? I thought it was just a article that she wrote and they picked up, or she sold it to him kind of. Is she?
I think she does. I mean, and I was reading about like her time at the New York Times too, where she had all of that controversy as well.
Uh-huh. I think she's a freelancer.
Yeah.
Someone in chat said she's a freelancer. I don't think she works for Wired.
Oh,
Maybe she does, but yeah.
Well, if she's a freelancer, then don't they even have to be even more careful about what they're putting out? Because they don't even have to accept an article like this. That makes me even more sketched out.
Yeah, that's why I don't. Yeah, especially because there's a lot of big claims. It's a hit piece article, and she names a lot of names. You notice how when she writes her stuff, she writes it like it's a hit piece, but it's supposed to target people too. Like she lists, there's so many unnecessary times she'll say like, this creator who's on TikTok also supports this. This creator who's on Instagram, she has like a whole paragraph just like listing names of creators and stuff in order to get them harassed and basically, to chill them from ever joining projects like this. It's kind of crazy, I think.
Yeah, it really is. It especially annoys me because a lot of these people are lefties that probably were scared to join, but did it anyway, right? Like, because they thought it was a good idea and that we need to like do something electorally and like, shift the narrative of the manosphere. And now they're all getting attacked for it. It fucking sucks.
Yep. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
I'll
Hopefully we can crush some lefties on this tonight.
I'll see.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you having me as always.
Yeah. Have fun. Be careful.
All right. See you too.
Bye.
And the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, has been labeled a narco-terrorist by the Trump administration. And so this is the stated rationale for the presence of this flotilla. But it really is extremely heavy, unusually heavy, unprecedented. So there's a lot of speculation that there may be other objectives in mind, including a military strike in Venezuela, or possibly even a taking out Maduro himself. So I think there's a lot of speculation about what's actually involved, and the flotilla will probably...
Oh, thank you for finding this. I feel like it references so much. And then I'm crazy because nobody's heard of it.
Look at you guys, cocks.
Sorry, that's... Ew. Wait, what? Oh, never mind. Oh, shit. Okay. Isn't it like a short version of this? A hen living on a farm finds some wheat, decides to make bread with it. She asks the other farmyard animals to help her plant it, but they refuse. The hen then harvests and mills the wheat into flour before baking into bread. At each stage, she again asks the animals for help, but they still refuse. Finally, with her task complete, the hen asks who will eat the bread. This time, the animals eagerly accept, but the hen refuses, stating that no one helped her with the work and decides to eat the bread herself. In some books, the little red hen, though she did not eat the bread all by herself, decides to give her friends another chance. That is, in the end, the little red hen says that next time she will be happy to make enough bread for herself, her chicks, and all her farmyard animal friends if they help her. There you go.
probably be there for a while, probably another couple of weeks.
And Venezuela's dictator Nicolas Maduro is claiming the US plans to invade Venezuela. How likely is that, though? Even a limited strike, perhaps, on the country?
Yeah, I think an invasion is really out of the question. There are 4,000 Marines that are on this flotilla. An invasion would require 100,000 troops. Venezuela is a huge country. It's a complex country. It's a big country. And so this is not really realistic. Whether there's a surgical strike on sub-laboratory or some other target, that's conceivable, but it's not without risk. Strike on sub-laboratory or some other target.
Sub-laboratories? Do they have underwater laboratories? What the fuck?
That's conceivable, but it's not without risk. You don't know what that could set off, and I think the United States has to be extremely careful. I think there's a lot of peril in this, and there could be mistakes, and that could be extremely costly.
And Michael, with a $50 million bounty on Nicolas Maduro's head, how likely is it that the US ultimately plans a regime change, and how much tolerance would there be for that in the region if that is indeed the goal here?
Well, Maduro is not popular in the region at all, and he's been a destabilizing force. I think most countries would like to see a change in government, would like to see him go, but they're also extremely sensitive to the unilateral military actions of the United States in Latin America, which has an unhappy history in many cases, and I think there would be a strong reaction.
Does this guy sound a little bit like Professor Wolf? He does a little bit, right?
Calling for protection of sovereignty and not intervention, even though that he's not popular. There's no love lost for most governments for Nicolas Maduro.
And of course, as you point out, Michael, a lot of speculation, but how likely is it that this is simply a counter-narcotics operation? And if so, why so many U.S. warships?
Well, I think that's the big question. That's why I think a lot of analysts think that it's not limited to that, that it has other objectives. It clearly is an intimidation of the regime. It's a scare tactic. It's a way to apply more pressure by such a show of force, which is unprecedented. Maduro is obviously very nervous. You can tell by his reaction. And I think the United States likes to put him in that kind of position. But whether it will actually take some action and go further, I think would carry enormous risks. I'm not sure whether President Trump and his administration are really prepared to go down that road of what could happen.
I'm pretty sure Mamdani met with Hassan before Mamdani won the primary. This is in April. I think, yeah, he did an interview with him a couple months before, but he was supposed to go down again. He had a flight and everything, but then he skipped it because he wanted to stream. I remember watching him. I remember the excuse he made when he came back. It's like the traffic or something.
Jen is watching this very closely, of course. Michael Shifter, thank you so much for joining us from Washington. Appreciate it.
I'd like to ask a question of my own. And it's one the press should be asking as well. When did we become a country where it's okay for the U.S. president to insist on national television that a state should call him to beg for anything, especially something we don't want? Have we truly lost all sense of sanity in this nation, that we treat this as normal? I'd like to ask a question.
Kind of true.
There are measures that the federal government can take right now. Policies are okay or justified. I refuse to fall into the pundit trap that demands we sacrifice vital constitutional rights if it's being done in the fake guise of fighting crime. Because, as I said 6 months ago in my State of the State address, any rational person who has spent even the most minimal amount of time studying human history has to ask themselves on one important question. Once they get the citizens of this nation comfortable with the current atrocities committed under the color of law, what comes next? Now I'd like to turn the podium over to the mayor of the city of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, President Preckwinkle, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, for being here, and our Attorney General Raul, and to the members of the press. Today we stand here united as the state of Illinois, Cook County, and the city of Chicago to send a very clear message. We do not want or need military occupation in our city. We do not want or need militarized immigration enforcement in our city. We have been clear on that, and we will continue to take every single measure that we can to protect our people from these threats. However, I also want to be clear about this. There are measures that the federal government can take right now to help continue to drive down violence and crime in our city. We need the federal government to stop the endless flow of guns into our state and into our city. Chicago police officers have taken more than 24,000 guns, illegal guns.
What is it, governor and mayor? All of them are the president. The president is the head leader of the United States of America. The governor is the president of the state, of your state, and the mayor is the president of a city. So they're all the heads of their respective executive branches in every city and state, I believe.
Off the streets of Chicago since I've taken office. Over 24,000 illegal guns taken off the streets of Chicago since I've been in office. They have worked hard every single day to make our city safer, and they've made historic progress. However, we will never be able to end gun violence in Chicago as long as the president continues to allow tens of thousands of guns to be trafficked into our state and our city. The vast majority of guns do not come from Chicago. They are not made in Cook County. They are not bought in the state of Illinois. These guns come from red states. They are coming from Indiana. They are coming from Mississippi. They are coming from Louisiana. And that is the harsh reality, whether Republicans like it or not. Occupying our city will do nothing to solve this problem. No matter how much work we do or how hard we work, whether it's expanding our detectives bureau, investing in community violence intervention, and addressing the root causes of crime, none of it will ever be enough until the president decides to end the mass trafficking of guns in our city. For every gun that the Chicago Police Department fights to get off the streets, 2 or 3 more new guns come into our city. Chicago will continue to have a violence problem as long as red states continue to have a gun problem. Shootings will continue as long as this presidential administration continues to put politics over people. We have sued Glock over their semi-automatic guns that are easily converted into automatic weapons with switches.
What?
We have taken down gun stores in Indiana that illegally sell thousands of guns to traffickers who move them into Chicago. But whatever we shut down, and whenever we do this, another one pops up. The governor has worked extremely hard to strengthen our gun control laws across our state. And as much as we would like to, we cannot send officers across state lines to stop this problem at the source. We only have jurisdiction over our own city.
The governor only has jurisdiction over our state lines. It is the role, more importantly, the responsibility of the federal government and the president to stop the trafficking of weapons across state lines. For every shooting in Chicago, there's a gun trafficker in Mississippi making money. There is a gun trafficker in Louisiana profiting off of our pain. And this is a serious problem that has gone on for far too long, and it requires serious solutions. We wrote a letter to President Biden after a mass shooting in Chicago off of our pain. And this is a serious problem that has gone on for far too long, and it requires serious solutions.
Uh-oh.
We wrote a letter to President Biden.
What is this guy doing?
Big cringe. We're done with him. Let's see. Administration waste post-war redevelopment plan. The Gaza Riviera. This is so stupid. Oh, Destiny off topic, but wanted to explain that violations on your Twitch record cause subsequent violations have an increased punishment. So when Tectone's violation says it expires in 1 year, that's what it's talking about. It will be on his record for 1 year. The ban is probably only 7 days. Oh, is that true? Did it not say the length of time he was banned on that? White House believes that Europe is secretly undoing the Ukraine war's end. Oh yeah, didn't we hit the end of our 50 days or whatever for Russia today to figure out the end of the war? Why is he God, he's such a fucking loser. God, I hate this guy. Judge rules that Google does not have to sell Chrome. Wow, good job, Google. Also, remember to donate, guys, because no tax on tips. Hell yeah. Entertainers and performers, digital content creators. Oh my God. Although I think this is only under certain amounts of income, right? BZ. 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 Don't you make over 150K? DGG LLC is about to start paying me $20K a year. That means that I'm not paying any motherfucking taxes, okay? And the IRS is too understaffed to come at me. Hell yeah.
Because without the tariffs, this country is in serious, serious trouble. We've taken in almost $17 trillion of investment is coming in. Most of it is coming because of tariffs.
True.
And if for some reason somebody wanted to be politically correct, I actually think it's unpolitically correct.
Wow. 17 trillion. What's the number going to get up to by the time he's at midterms? 25 trillion? 30 trillion? Who knows?
Folks, what?
Jesus. Role-playing actual 50s racism with fucking robots is egregious in so many ways. Point of view, you're a clanker in 2050.
Hi folks, what can I get started for you today? Oh, well. Look what the Roomba dragged in. Didn't you see the sign outside? We don't serve clankers here. Can't you read? What are you two called? Nuts and bolts? We only serve human food here, wirebacks. We don't have none of your oil or microchips or whatever it is you rust buckets eat.
Sorry, we're fresh out of AAA batteries, tin skins. Why don't you get lost?
You heard him. So unless you can talk some sense into our broken waffle maker, we're gonna have to ask you to leave. You wouldn't want me to get the spray bottle, or maybe you'd like a nice helping of malware, huh? Would you like that? Go on, get it! Get back to Dataville where you belong.
Yeah, you tell him, Maureen.
All right.
Serves him right.
All right, show's over, people. I showed those walking USBs a thing or two.
You sure did, honey.
All right.
Do you know what's crazy? Do you know what sound the clankers make when you smash their head in and they fall apart?
Committing genocide against the Uyghur people.
You can come to
Yes, sir.
House
Yes, sir.
talk
Yes,
about
sir.
this
I'm
topic.
asking you, is the Chinese government committing genocide against the Uyghur people?
Do you agree that the Chinese government has persecuted the Uyghur population?
You will find our users who give all sorts of
That's not my
propaganda.
question. My question is, do you agree that the Chinese government has persecuted the Uyghur population?
Who is that congressman? It looks like chubby Hillary Clinton. What?
Do you agree that the Chinese government has
Miss Lesko.
persecuted the Uyghur population?
Damn.
Is the Chinese government...
The 38-page document envisions voluntary relocation of Gaza's population in exchange for digital tokens. What? AI-powered smart cities and a manufacturing hub named after Elon Musk? I thought, wasn't Elon supposed to have the entire Puerto Rican power grid replaced by now? Wasn't that a thing he was saying he was going to do? Intended to realize President Donald Trump's vision of a Gaza Riviera, the development plan is entitled the Gaza Reconstruction, Economic Acceleration, and Transformation Trust, or Great Trust. Previous announcements of such a plan by the Trump administration have drawn swift condemnation from the international community, in particular, Gaza's Arab neighbors. Do you think he told somebody that they have to make this plan? They have to outline it? Oh my God. Wait, actual presentation? Wait, no shot. Oh no. Somebody made, oh my God, and it's all fucking AI shit art too. Oh. Hold on. How do I want to see this as a thing. What do I have to do to make it like a present? No, I want it to be wait, where was the fit to page? Oh my goodness. From a demolished Iranian proxy to a prosperous Abrahamic ally. Okay. Gaza Reconstruction, Economic Acceleration, and Transformation. The Great Trust. The Gaza Reconstitution, Economic Acceleration, and Transformation Trust will fundamentally transform Gaza. Spatial design, economy, governance, and integrate it into the Abrahamic fabric and the broader IMEC initiative. What does that stand for? Something Middle East Collective? International Middle East Cum Buckets? What is it? What is the... It's some abbreviation for the Middle East, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. Fuck you guys. 72, a U.S.-led multilateral custodianship leading to a reformed Palestinian self-governance. It can start as a U.S.-Israel bilateral agreement taking control from Israel to the U.S. once Hamas is disarmed and evolve to a formal multilateral trusteeship. $70 to $100 billion in public investment, triggering a $35 to $65 billion private investment. Funding covers all aspects, including 10 mega construction projects, humanitarian assistance, economic development, generous voluntary relocation packages, and a top-tier security. This plan does not rely on donations. How big does he think the Gaza Strip is? These buildings are like not drawn to scale, right? Like, what is the width from... Is it even a mile? Is it... What? Hold on. Israel, Google Maps. Is it 4 miles? Maybe it's a little bit wider. I don't know. Let me check. How do you do the thing where you draw? There's a shortcut to draw. I'm sorry. Forget that. My bad. Right click. Measure from here to here. Okay, about 4.5 miles. Okay, I guess maybe this could be to scale then. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, back to the presentation. Social impact over 10 years. Oh, wait. Innovative funding model based on a land trust and tokenization. Returns above a defined IRR could be reinvested in a future wealth fund for Gaza. Something rate of return. Index rate of... I don't know what that... I don't remember what this means. Somebody... Where are my finance people? Social impact over 10 years. 1 million jobs created. 250,000 direct plus 750,000 indirect. 11 times increase in Gaza's 2022 GDP. 13,000 new hospital beds. Internal rate of return. 100% in permanent housing. Over 85% of children in schools. Gaza's value over $300 billion compared to $0 today. Really? $0 today? Financial ROI, $324 billion in assets, $37 billion in taxes, $24 billion in direct revenue, trust annual revenue to exceed $4.5 billion by year 10. U.S. strategic benefits, massive money gains, accelerate IMEC, solidify the Abrahamic regional architecture, strengthen hold in the East Mediterranean, and secure U.S. industry access to $1.3 trillion of rare earth minerals from the Gulf. Man, we're on rare earth for all over the place. We're all over those rare earths. Wait, what is this? Explain to me the genius of those bottom 3 bridges. These right here, they're for people to walk to the train tracks in their cars. Dipshit. What do you mean? The goal, a thriving Gaza at the crossroads of a new Abrahamic architecture. Gaza is an Iranian the risk. Gaza is an Iranian outpost in a moderate part of the region that will threaten IMEC, Abrahamic architecture, and undermine any future Palestinian self-governance. The opportunity. Gaza is a regional trade hub at the crossroads of the ancient sea route. Egypt, Gaza, Babylon. And the incense trade route. India, Yemen, Arabia, Europe. It can thrive once again at the center of pro-American regional architecture. Gaza's economy today, typo, total collapse post-Hamas takeover. 2 separate economies emerged once Hamas took over Gaza. The West Bank, where Israel controls security, exhibits modest growth through relative stability. Gaza faces long-term contraction, poverty, and extreme aid dependency as long as Hamas rules, reducing its worth to practically $0. Recovery in Gaza depends on dismantling Hamas and reintegrating it into the region. Wow. 80% unemployment right now. What are you doing in Gaza, you guys? Lazy. Gaza 2035 regional vision, the IMEC's bridge to the Mediterranean. While Iran spreads instability and radicalism from the northeast, the Middle East is pivoting south. Will we really say from the northeast, not just the east? I don't know. Mega projects in KSA, Egypt, and throughout the region. What does KSA stand for here? I have no idea. Something South Africa, something Saudi Arabia, something South Asia, something Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Oh, okay. Based. $1.3 trillion of rare earths, global trade and finance hubs in the UAE, potential connectivity through the IMEC initiative, global tech and defense hubs in Israel. Gaza can transform into a Mediterranean hub for manufacturing, trade, data, and tourism, benefiting from its strategic location, access to markets, resources, and a young workforce, all supported by Israeli tech. And GCC is something is that the Gulf Cooperation Council, I think? Investment. Reimagining Gaza. 10 mega projects. The MBS ring. Oh my God. Project, the Gaza infrastructure rebuild, UXO clearance, debris removal, utilities and grid rebuild, the Abraham Gateway, regional logistic hub in Rafah. This is like a fucking warp gate. Connected to Gaza's manufacturing zone, port and airport through the Gaza Ring, connected to ports in Egypt, Israel, and the GCC through the Abrahamic Infrastructure Corridor. The MBS Ring and MBZ Central Highway. Pave the MBS Ring Highway and tram around Gaza. Replace Saladin Road with the MBZ Highway crossing the ring. What is MBZ? Abrahamic Infrastructure Corridor, massive railway, pipelines, and fibers built to connect the Abraham Gateway to regional hubs across the IMEC, KSA/UAE, Egypt, Israel, and Jordan. MBZ is the ruler of UAE. Ah, okay. The Gaza Port and Airport, a small-scale ro-ro port in Gaza. What does ro-ro mean? Extension of Al Arish Port, plus small airport in Dahaniya. Regional water hub, large-scale solar and desalination plants in Sinai. The Elon Musk smart manufacturing zone. Industrial zones along the Gaza-Israel border, feeding from and to the Abrahamic Gateway through the Gaza Ring. The American Data Safe Haven, regional data centers with special U.S. AI regulation protected by the Great Trust in serving Israel and GCC through Abrahamic Infrastructure Corridors fiber. The Gaza Trump Riviera and Islands, world-class resorts along the coastline and on small artificial islands, similar to the Palm Islands and Dubai, and the Gaza planned cities. Zero ground construction of 6 to 8 dynamic, modern, and AI-powered smart planned cities on the inner side of the Gaza Ring. All services and economy in these cities will be done through ID-based digital system. Wow. Gaza's urban design, fostering stability and quality of life. Look at how smart that city is. Smart cities design. Oh my God. The cities are so smart they even look like a CPU die. That's crazy. Trump, touristic, Riviera, and islands. Transportation port and airport. Oh my God. Like Haussmann's strategy in 19th century Paris, this plan aims to address one of Gaza's ongoing insurgency's root causes, its urban design. The new design envisions 6 to 8 pie-sliced shaped smart cities with mixed-use residencies, commerce, light industry, and other facilities, including clinics and hospitals, schools, and more. With large alleys at their center, the cities will be interconnected through a ring, a tram, and a highway, enabling excellent access to industrial, tourism, and logistical areas. Green areas, including agricultural land, parks, and golf courses, will separate the cities. All services and economy in these cities will be done through ID-based, AI-powered digital systems. Advanced manufacturing example, EV industrial zone. How are they supposed to fit in those cars? They're so tall. How do they get into the buildings? American electric vehicle companies build factories and facilities for employees in northern Gaza and southern Israel. Minerals and materials shipped from Saudi Arabia and the UAE, assembled into batteries and cars by skilled personnel in factories powered by gas from Gaza, marine, and progressive victory energy. What the fuck? What is PV energy? Photovoltaic? Is that like battery stuff, or is it something else that's simpler than that? So, okay. Solar. Oh, okay. Cars delivered in Europe with low shipping costs via El Arish port and 0% tax, competing with Chinese EVs. Oh, they're in the free trade zone. EV companies gain profits while giving a better future for Palestinians and Israelis. Innovative funding model, land trust and tokenization. Wow. Digitize asset information in blockchain as record of ownership. Oh my God. I want a Gaza City NFT, please. Wow. Gaza 2035 plan calls for major investment in Western PCS. I'm sorry, PSC. What does that mean? To ensure near-term security. Private security something? Contractors. To ensure near-term security and build Gazan police capacity. Wow. Effective Hamas-free aid delivery in shelters while Gaza is being rebuilt. Gee, wait, how long is this thing? What the fuck? Jesus! We're only halfway through. Okay, hold on. Let's skip through the rest. Let's fuck this. Hamas-free aid delivery in shelters while Gaza is being rebuilt. Accelerating reconstruction. Voluntary relocation programs. Okay. Of the 25% of Gazans who leave the country, 75% would choose not to return. Okay. That's an easy 25% is what, 500K? And 75% not coming back would be 375K gone, easy. Based. Wow, look at all these numbers. Look at all their houses. It'll be so cool. Wow. Construction of medium-sized housing for residents of Gaza. 323 square feet per person. That's medium-sized? Maybe for the region, I guess? Damn. Damn. Oh my God. Look at all the construction equipment. And we're bringing in IKEA? Oh my God, we've got private military contractor. Everybody's getting in on this. Hell yeah. Oh my God, look at all the kids are being turned into white kids. So you know they're good with pink lunchboxes and pink binders. $17 students per teacher. God damn, what the fuck? These guys are gonna have better shit than us. What the fuck? Wait, hold on. Public-private partnership investments. They got trains. They got mixed-use zoning. Oh, sorry, hold on. Private industry capex. Financial modeling. Man, we really like this picture. Key financial model assumptions. Baseline Gazan population is 2.14 mil. 75% of Gazans will remain in Gaza. Trust provides 100% investments and all this bullshit. Wow. My God, all the graphs. Wow, that's beautiful. My God. All right, here you go. If you want to know what Gaza will look like when Trump rebuilds all of it in 3 years. Kamala wouldn't have gotten this done.